That's right, folks. We're back. JV Wins, Dogon SS here once again for another edition of Conscious Approach on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody out there tuning in. Before we get things kicked off, as always, I would like to say check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts, as we are now available in all of those requisite podcasting areas. In the event that you are not in position to check us out on the YouTube channel, driving in the car, you at work, hitting the gym, whatever you got going on, but you want to be able to pop in the headphones and listen to the audio version of all the streams, you can now download them or stream them in those places. We are also uploading select pieces of content to TikTok as well. So if you're active over there on that front, go ahead and check us out at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. Just like to get that out there to remind everybody that we are now available in as many places as we can be. And then always, as a general disclaimer before we get things kicked off, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel and thank everybody in advance who will subscribe to the channel. Your digital currency is valuable, and we don't take it for granted. I don't subscribe to nearly 10% of the things that I consume. So to make the leap to click the button is indicative of the fact that you believe that there is value in that piece of content that you are consuming. So if you are subscribed to this channel, it means that you believe that you are getting value out of it, which is the highest form of flattery and the greatest compliment that can be afforded to us. So we tremendously appreciate you for that. And to anybody else who is checking us out for the first time, this is how we like to rock and roll. So buckle up, and if you are so inclined, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any of our other uploads. And hit the like button, man. We do respond so long as you're not trolling. As long as it's constructive, that's the only thing that counts. It doesn't even have to be a comment that agrees with us. That's actually not what we aim for. But just be constructive. Don't be a troll, because we know how y'all bots out there like to operate. With that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. We got several fascinating topics to kick around the campfire tonight. The first thing that we are going to get into is controversy surrounding NBA YoungBoy's live shows. So apparently, he's doing a live show in Oklahoma City, and the city of Oklahoma, or the Oklahoma County Jail, has made arrangements to beef up staffing at the jail in response to anticipation of NBA YoungBoy's live show. And there are some people that feel as though that is a racially motivated tactic to beef up staffing at the jails in anticipation of NBA YoungBoy's live shows. There are individuals who are speaking out against that, don't necessarily think it's a good look. And so that's what we are going to talk about first. So this says NBA YoungBoy's Oklahoma City show leads to racial bias debate at their jail. NBA YoungBoy has faced a couple of security and venue issues during his highly successful and ongoing Massa tour, but this is the first one that goes beyond the concerts themselves. According to a report from the Oklahoman, the Oklahoma County Jail increased its weekend staff and prepared for a surge of arrests ahead of his Oklahoma City performance on Saturday night, which was November the 1st. Reverend Derek Scobie, a black jail trustee, reportedly accused officials responsible for the decision of overt racism. The correctional institution's interim administrator, Tim Kimry, defended the proactive decision by chalking it up to urban and metropolitan surges of population across many concerts and live shows, not a racially biased consideration for the Baton Rouge lyricist alone. Then, during the meeting in which trustees debated this matter, Scobie convinced Kimray to increase staffing for a Christian worship event. As for the venue for this show, the Paycom Center's director of marketing and public relations said they weren't aware of this jail staffing increase, nor did we ask them to increase jail staff, Louis Albers reportedly stated. Golden's career has a long history of legal issues that began in 2016, the jail reportedly stated concerning previous NBA YoungBoy controversies. He has maintained a largely prolific output notwithstanding his incarcerations. Golden has infamously spent several years on house arrest from 2021 to 2024. While the jail cited recent concert cancellations and other concerns in their arguments, the Oklahoma City Police Department reportedly did not do anything to change course in direction related to the show. Miles Davidson, a fellow jail trustee and District 3 County Commissioner, reportedly agreed with Tim Kimry's decision. It's important to understand that this is an artist whose shows have, in some places across the country, been canceled due to concerns about violence. And yet, Tim didn't look away from that reality. He leaned in, he planned, he communicated, he brought people together. We will see if this controversial decision impacts staffing decisions and event planning in Oklahoma City moving forward. Elsewhere, hopefully, the rest of NBA YoungBoy tour goes smoothly. So I thought that last line of that article was weird, as if to suggest if anybody else performs in Oklahoma City and they don't do similar things, then that clearly means that it was racially motivated. But what do you make about what is your take on this situation where they increase staffing at jail in anticipation of NBA YoungBoy's live shows?
Life is real. So, life is real. It's serious. And when serious things happen, man, they are unfortunate. And I had to preface what I'm about to say, uh, you know, with that. And look, this is like an episode of the Boondocks. The outrage of this alone, calling it racism. Yeah, this is fit for a sitcom, a parody type of thing to actually mock situations like this. And I really think that analytics would suggest you should hire people when something like this is going on. Let's not, and for the people out there that's hollering racism, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. All right. That's a pretty big elephant. So you're getting upset and you're calling it racist, right? But there's many things that I can ask you about your level of comfort around NBA YoungBoy concert goers. And I can ask you these series of questions and you would say, no, I wouldn't let that happen. No, I wouldn't be around that. No, I wouldn't want to. And it's like, exactly. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Because these things can actually lead to situations that involve the law being called. So when those people are out there and, getting all into it, all that friction going on, somebody's going to get arrested. Checkpoints are going to be set up, I'm sure. People won't even make it to the concert because, various reasons. And they're going to do those things. But honestly, I don't see why they wouldn't prepare themselves for shenanigans. Now, granted, like I said, sometimes the police go looking for stuff because they'll have checkpoints or they'll get weird, because the tail light is out or something. Like, I get that, but the police is a revenue generating machine, and they're looking at this as a situation to get money. So all in all, there's a lot of reasons, that can go around to explain why this isn't directly racism. I just think that this makes sense in an analytical kind of way. And if you are anticipating a spike in 911 calls, you might want to be staffed up. But what are your thoughts, man, on the NBA YoungBoy situation where apparently his visiting Oklahoma City, that is causing controversy due to the fact that jails are preparing for it? What are your thoughts, man?
It's tough. I kind of feel like it's a situation in which all things can be true. You know, several things can be true at the same time. There can be a need for increased security due to, you know, as you put it, analytics that would suggest the need for it. But something can also be racially motivated. I mean, you can all and see the thing about using race as the crux for outrage is it's kind of to me race and conspiracy theories are similar in that if you squint hard enough, you will always be able to connect the dots that you need in order to make the case that you want to make. In this particular instance, it's an NBA YoungBoy show, which means it stands to reason the vast majority of the people who are going to be interested in attending said show are going to be black. And so the idea of increased security, increased staffing at jails in anticipation of such a show can be correlated with some sort of a racially motivated ploy because the majority of the people in attendance are black. But notwithstanding, how do you account for the need for an increase in security and staffing to anticipate situations going off? I don't know how you reconcile that.
Right.
This reminded me of, so back in Tallahassee, a bar that we used to go to a lot. They experimented with having a quote unquote urban night. Now you know what the word urban means.
Yes. Gotta
Yeah,
love urbans.
right. So like this particular bar was mostly known for its Thursday nights because it was college night. You get in with a college ID and you can drink for free and you get free admission. It was 21 and plus. It's a 21 and up bar, but it's the it's the most popular, it's the most pop-in place that you can go to on a Thursday night in Tallahassee. The biggest crowd. That's where you want to be on a Thursday night. You want to go to this place specifically. Other than Thursdays, going there was more of a ho-hum experience. They experimented with doing an urban night on Friday nights. They brought, they hired and the promotional team that hosted the event. They partnered with them, and the promotional team secured the DJ and they ran the event in terms of the themes and various other things for that particular night. And the bar was trying to diversify his bonds, of course. Let's do an urban night so that we can have another marquee night where we can draw large crowds and potentially make money and do well for the bar. So I understand the logic behind that, of course, is business. I don't think this thing lasted 6 months because every single, and listen, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This is not an exaggeration. Every single Friday night, the police were getting called. There was a problem every Friday night. There was incidents, there were fights, vandalism, damage to property, theft. There was things going on every Friday night that they tried to do this thing. Oftentimes the night would end early because it was just too much going on. So it was like, okay, we're gonna end it because y'all just don't know how to act type stuff. And after a while, the liability of doing the night was too much, and the bar just basically ended it. It ceased to exist, and since they have never done it. And I've been gone from Tallahassee now for a few years, but to the best of my knowledge, because I still have friends who live there, they have not tried to bring that back. and I don't think they have plans to bring it back. Now, the reason why this story with NBA YoungBoy reminds me of this situation is because one of my buddies believed that the bar was engaging in racism by canceling the night. His belief was they don't like black people because they got rid of the Friday night, and they pretty much only want to cater to the white audience, the white college student demographic. They don't really care about us because they got rid of the night. And my whole thing was like, I understand if you feel that way because optically that might be how it looks. But explain to me what a place of business is supposed to do if week after week they are constantly dealing with problems that they feel are a direct threat to the livelihood of their establishment. How do you deal with that? Like, what's the middle ground here? How do we reconcile what they perceive to be a risk with your perception of their need to accommodate your community by giving them its own night? So I was more so on the bar side with this, primarily because I literally was there. Like, I would be there on these Friday nights and see these things happening. I would see the fights. I would see the broken bottles in the glass. I would see the police getting called. Like, I didn't go there every Friday, but every Friday that I went, something happened. So it's one of those situations where you can holler that it's racially motivated, but sometimes people just don't want to incur the liability anymore. And, if it was less of a regular occurrence, you have more of a leg to stand on because you have case studies of more often than not, there aren't incidents. So why use the rare occurrences as a justification for why you need to get rid of something? But
Mhm.
if something isn't rare because it happens the majority of the time, what can you do? So I think it's an interesting conversation. Race is just one of those things. It's one of my main criticisms with Stephen A. Smith. He chooses to conveniently bring it up where it can assist him in looking a particular kind of way. And I think nowadays that is brought up oftentimes out of convenience to sort of drum up not necessarily controversy, but to get people emotionally invested in seeking a particular outcome, even if the impetus for whatever it is that you're, protesting against is somewhat understandable.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on that. I mean, I kind of feel like if they felt as though, given recent previous history, that this was a move that they had to make in order to protect the safety of those who are in attendance and to be able to accommodate for a volume increase of arrests, just kind of bluntly stating that they did what they needed to do. And to claim that it's racially motivated, again, you can connect that dot in order to get people emotionally invested in trying to, seek a particular kind of outcome. But, how do you reconcile the history of what's going on at his shows in order to be able to make that claim, fairly? So I think it's an interesting conversation, but, I do think this is an instance in which several things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, and I would also say that you would probably have to follow his current massa tour, his massa, his massa tour, and see what's going on in those cities. How are the arrests going on over there? Is there a spike, all right, of marijuana calls? Is there a spike on what I'm saying, reckless driving? They're gonna do that. you know so if listen, and I also agree with you that the race thing, if you squint your eyes, bro, trust me, bro, I'm one of the best squinters in the game. All right, and a lot of things do lead, if you follow it hard enough and long enough, they lead to what you're actually trying to get to, which is fair. As a person that's saying that's race, it's a fair thing to say, but at the end of the day, it's also the low hanging fruit of it, because it's that's always one of the answers. So it's like, okay, well, outside of that, why else would they do that? And because systemically we got into this situation when we've discussed it on this thing before about how the prison industrial complex invests in these rappers and record labels. And NBA YoungBoy is a free man, thanks to Massa, but he's a free man, so he can continue his Slime Again tour. So he can tour the nation, spreading the gospel of unaliving. He's literally got a song like that where he's literally just saying unaliving, blah 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 blah. Or is it? Yeah, it's sex and violence. That's literally one of his songs. And he
Mhm.
just keeps repeating it over and over again, until it gets brainwashed, into the youth's brain. Now, I made a comment in the first segment when I was talking about, there's a series of questions that I can ask you about being around NBA YoungBoy concert goers. Now, I know NBA YoungBoy has fans that span the spectrum. So I'm not talking about all NBA YoungBoy fans. However, there are a group of NBA YoungBoy fans who literally live their lives to be crash outs. And so he's one of the people that they bang. They listen to it all the time. And so those are the people that attend concerts just like anybody else would want to. But those are also the people that would probably, you know, do something violent to you because you stepped on their shoe, you know, or you looked at his old lady or whatever these guys be fighting about. So it goes down. And if you've ever been a club or club goer and you've been in these situations, you know, JV Wentz, that was a good anecdotal situation because that was my life story in Tallahassee. You know, I'm always about urban night.
Oh yeah.
So I'm up in the scene, and there's literally a fight every you can set your watch to it. You know, when the early vibe was early vibing, everybody's having a good time. Then once they do the turn up, you know, now they're playing all the songs that you get all, you know, riled up to, you know, the aggression in the air started to spread. Now, one thing about it, if people want to look at a club situation as a experiment area, you know, where you can literally gauge the frequency of music and how the people behaviors change, I think that will be an excellent study. Because as soon as the songs hit the turn up mode, all right, guys lose their mind. All of a sudden, there's a fight on the dance floor. You know what I'm saying? Oh, security to the booth. Security to the booth. It's like, damn. Sometimes I've got rolled up in it's literally one of those balls of fighting arms and legs and stuff like a cartoon. It's like literally rolling across the dance floor. And you got to dodge and avoid, hoping the club don't get shut down and you can get right back to it. It happened too often. And there was some clubs in Tallahassee that just shut down completely because for whatever reason, there was always pew-pewing going on and people getting unalived or whatever. Those places I feel as though have spirits over that location. We can speak on that in another episode. But I bring all those things up to say is that those things were happening on urban nights. So I'm pretty sure the police already knew in certain areas that, hey, man, these people be going crazy. We're going to have to be on alert and be in that area. So the same thing I will honestly say for NBA YoungBoy club concert goers. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to speak that on them people, but some people get some of them lose it. Some of them have nothing to lose. He makes depression music anyway. Some of the people have nothing to lose and then they just snap. So all in all, I think that analytics would back it up. The article made a cute reference to they are even hired extra security for the Christian thing. You might want to. You never know what's going on at these places.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, yeah, man, I think this is overblown. If you want to look at it as a racial thing, yeah, but you might want to get a little bit more granular than that and look into the situation as, would you want to put yourself in the middle of a crowd that turn up like that? And if your answer is no to that, you know what I'm saying, that you feel as though that you might need security or you wouldn't let your little child go out there or something like that, then all of those things are fair. And then the police being extra is a thing. So, yeah, I don't want to overlook the fact that it could be some components to it, but, I think it's a lot more practical than that.
I agree. And, the thing about it is, let's say that, there's a consistent spike in situations where people are getting arrested at these shows. Now you have jails in Oklahoma City, for example, that are full with Black people for the night. That is yet another optically driven emotional tentpole that people can latch on to with respect to the idea that they're constantly looking to fill these jails with Black bodies. So there's all of these themes that people get kind of emotional and riled up over, that one can use examples like this in order to state their claim as to why it's so wrong. But justifiably, what are the things taking place that would, sort of put someone in the mindset that they need to beef up security or increase staffing at facilities or things like that in anticipation of this? If there are repeated patterns and incidences, then I don't see how you can dismiss that. You know what I'm saying? While at the same time complaining about racism. Like, I kind of feel like, okay, go ahead and say that something is racially motivated, but you also need to acknowledge that there are things that go on at these venues that do need to address. Like, you just can't not take these things into consideration. To me, that would be negligent and irresponsible, especially for the people who go to these things who aren't about that life. Those people need.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like those people need to be protected. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you can't just sit up here and say increasing the staffing at the jail is unnecessary, because you're potentially putting those individuals at risk, and those individuals are also a part of the community. So what can you do? I just don't really agree with this, and I think that this is an example of people who like to just holler race in contexts in which it shouldn't really be brought up, because it's just too easy to explain why they did what they did. And I mean, in terms of NBA YoungBoy shows specifically, I just did a simple Google search. Apparently, there was an incident in Kansas City. It says a 66-year-old T-Mobile Center usher was brutally assaulted by a 14-year-old concert goer
There you go.
after asking the teen to move from an incorrect seat. The teen was later charged with felony and misdemeanor assault. There was another incident in New Orleans. It says a second concert night in New Orleans experienced a stampede and a large crowd trying to rush the entrance after a false alarm report of shots fired inside the venue. A massive police presence of over 400 officers was activated for both nights of the New Orleans shows to manage the crowds, and no other incidents were reported on the first night. And then, right down here in Miami, during a concert in Miami, an uncooperative fan resisted arrest, leading to a struggle where he and two officers fell approximately 15 rows in the seating area.
Jeez.
The individual was charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest with violence. And I can go on because there's more in the list. And listen, I'm not trying to single out NBA YoungBoy or his shows. I'm just saying that sometimes something being racially motivated is like second or third or fourth along the hierarchy of things that you have to make note of as to why certain things were done. I think that the safety and the well-being of everybody has to be protected, as opposed to just allowing a free-for-all because you want to just let everybody do whatever they want. And the justification for that is, if they allow people to do that, then we know that they're not being racist or racially motivated. I think that that's a silly way to explain why not beefing up staffing at jails or increasing security is something that we should be doing. So, it is what it is, man. I think if they felt as though they needed to make that call, you can read down the list. There's stuff that's been going on at this kid's show. So, and I know that that's not an isolated event. There's probably other concerts where stuff goes down. And look, I don't care if they did the same thing for those people. Fine, it is what it is. But I don't necessarily know that saying something is racist when it's of this particular nature is completely in bounds, in my opinion. Optically, you can always make that claim, but I always think that that's the thing nowadays, one of them, that people like to grab onto to highlight injustices. In my opinion, this doesn't strike the level of being an injustice.
Yep. And last thing I'll say is that, this situation itself, if you want to look at it through the racial lens, this situation itself shouldn't be what the target is, as far as that's what's racist. The part about all of this stuff that's racist is the fact that NBA YoungBoy was made a star, and people can debate his talent or whatever because his fans will, but he got put on and put in a spot. And even if he was one of these people that's really out here doing all the stuff that gets people locked up, but he just keeps getting out. The thing that is racist is the fact that he's a star, and they propping this guy up. That's because that's what creates the behavior that gets the people locked up. So the jail's actually preparing itself to lock people up. You could say it's racially motivated, I guess, but that's not the racist part. The racist part is the beginning. That's the last domino that you get locked up. But what are the things before that? And NBA YoungBoy is ahead of that. If there's things that's ahead of that, who are the people that put them on? You can point your finger there. But NBA YoungBoy himself is before the jail the NBA YoungBoy being propped up. So yeah, I don't I want to look at it, just that, the jail's tisk, because I'm sure there's a man of another ethnicity that's up there. So they're going to say that that's racist. But no, the person that looks like you, that makes these songs, that makes these guys want to have sex and violence. Yeah, that's the racist part. So
Yeah,
I would say get the priorities in order.
I agree 100%. And I wonder how many people think of it along those lines, because he is definitely a star. That's for sure. So
he's one of your chaos agents.
Yes, why is his brand of music tantamount to becoming a superstar?
Exactly.
I think people should be asking that question before asking why cities in these, where these concerts are being hosted are increasing staffing at jails.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey man, shouts out to NBA YoungBoy, I guess, man. Him and his 8 or 9 or 10 children, or however many kids he has, and all of the rest of his shenanigans. The boy got fans, that much is for sure.
Yeah, he do. And he really named his album Massa. Unbelievable.
And now we move on to an insane individual, an agent of chaos. That's it. I am adding her to the list of agents of chaos. Superhead, Karrine Steffans. She is an agent of chaos. She is a social deconstructor. She is one of these people that wants to see the world enveloped in social anarchy. And if you need more evidence of that, that is what we are going to get into. So check out this video of Karrine Steffans, aka Superhead, a woman who went famous for, making explicit adult content and talking about all of the high profile people that she's been with. She was definitely Brittany Renner before Brittany Renner. She is the inspiration for why people such as Brittany Renner exist. If you have an issue with women like Brittany Renner, I think you should look no further than Karrine Steffans as to whom you would hold responsible for why this is a thing that is allowed to persist in the West. But Karrine Steffans is talking about how men should more readily embrace marrying whores.
What?
Yeah. So Karrine Steffans wants to put the idea out there that it should no longer be a faux pas taboo for men to marry the 304, the whore, the slut, whatever word you want to use to describe it.
Jeez.
Now, this is of course consistent with her past life. If you want to believe it's still in the past, and so and she's sitting on this. It looks like a podcast with a cadre of other women who appear to be agreeing with this sentiment. So let's play this video of Karrine Steffans talking about men who are seeking marriage and how they should marry the whore, marry the slut.
Wow.
And love sluts, like a cum dump type of, like, you want this, but patriarchy says you can't marry this. Patriarchy says marry the virgin,
but then you the slut behind her back, you lose her trust.
You're gonna ruin her life. I want more men to feel safe marrying the whore. Because they're gonna keep you good. You're gonna wake up to sucks. You wake up, I'm already on freak shit. There's nothing you can't propose to me that I won't at least consider. I like doing household chores, but for sake, first thing in the morning, my man gets this, and he gets it in any way he wants. And he would have crawl on my face and exactly.
Start at home, where you really want to be. A couple weeks ago was my birthday. The plan was that we're gonna have a foursome.
Wow. This is where podcasting is gone, huh? Podcasting. It took a sharp left. Unbelievable.
Ooh, yeah, talk about a wrong turn, huh? So yeah, man, Superhead is talking about men feeling more comfortable embracing marrying the whore. Does this make any sense to you?
No. No, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does. Everything always makes some type of sense to something, but this does not resonate with my worldviews. Now, granted, of course, she's going to be an advocate of said slurs because they want real love too. So, but at the same time, they also like to be teabagged, apparently. And one thing about it, if you're a guy, you know what I'm saying? If you're a guy, all right, and you're dealing with that woman who was she's a go-getter. She'll do any and everything. You can't keep that at home. It's not going to stay at home. See, the part that she's neglecting is that she is, I mean, I guess it's in the title of her being a slur, but she can't keep it at home. She's got to take that show out on the road. She's got to take it out for a spin. You know what I'm saying? There's only one type of way that you can degrade her. All right. She needs it all the way around. And so I guess what she needs to preface her thing is that because she's saying that like generic man, you need slur. And it's like, no, he doesn't need it, but there's some guys out there that would definitely love to do that. I would say that there's going to be guys that signed up for that if the lady is being straight up about hers, So, because honestly, that's kind of already what's going on. These aren't marriages, but there's a lot of situationships going on. There's a lot of people with Rolodexes, teams, rosters, as people call it, where there's, this guy's got his team of 3, that girl got her team of 5, and y'all all sharing. So y'all already comfortable with that. So why not get serious? I would say with somebody. So for those people, I think that will work. But for everybody else. Everybody else that really wants something sound and secure, they want a wholesome woman, and not just for the sake of wholesome in the context of anything religious or stereotypical when it comes about traditionalism. It's about being a mother to your children, a good role model to your children. And one thing about it, if you're just out here just living a 304 lifestyle, at that point, sex is the overwhelming majority, like what's on their mind all the time.
Exactly.
So they can't, when it comes to being like a role model, when it comes to being serious, they don't know how to do that because sex is occupying their frontal lobe 24/7. So I don't think that somebody would genuinely want to marry a slur. I think that sounds good to her and her alone, or people that live like that, because they still want marriage, they still want real love too, but they want it their way, and I don't know who's going for that. But what are your thoughts, man, on super fellatio running around here saying that, hey, these men need to marry slurs? What are your thoughts, bro?
Well, it speaks to the idea that the way to a man's heart is now like, through his pants. Marriage used to be something that, people looked at in a more sacred manner.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was something that men offered up to women because there was this idea that this woman has earned the opportunity to build a foundation with me, and she earned that through not just sexual satisfaction, because that's always been a part of the equation, so I'm not going to dismiss that, but there were also other intangible requisite qualities that she brought to the table. Physical attractiveness, relational personality compatibility, homely skills, certain things that you can glean from her that told you that she would be fit as a mother, a wife, beautifully. These are all things that you inferred based upon her disposition and her behavior. But, of course, due to the breakdown of traditional values, because they apparently no longer exist, or rather no longer need to be exist. I think everything now is just about sex. So now, the way to a man's heart is just through being able to sexually satisfy him. And because men nowadays have tapped into their relative level of sexual deviancy to such an extent that the things that they want to experience in life um, cannot be reasonably satiated. There's just no end to it. He's watched way too many videos. He spends too much time on websites. He subscribes to one too many OnlyFans. He listens to one too many explicit rappers. He's consuming so much of this questionable content on such a daily basis that there's nothing entering his cerebral cortex other than the pursuit of vagina and how to best be in position to have that pursuit satiated at all times as much as possible. And so because it's become an endless pursuit to be able to satiate that need, any woman who can even come close to being able to satisfy that directive might be so worthy that she's even marriage material. And historically, women who have been able to satisfy that level of deviancy have been the 304s, the streetwalkers, the sex workers, because, well, like she said in that video, there's nothing I won't consider.
Exactly.
So of course, if there's nothing you won't consider, I have the best chance of being able to give you everything you need. And since that's all that you require, because everything else about you has been stripped away in terms of requirements for matrimony, all I have to do is give you this one thing at the highest possible level that I can give it to you. And if you've deemed that satisfactory enough, I now deserve to be your wife. So it's an aspect of social deconstruction, in my opinion, from the standpoint that it completely strips away the various aspects of the requirements for something as important as marriage. It's all that's been done away with. And we basically just streamline the process to be just about sex. Forget homely skills like cooking and cleaning, because when you bring that up, inevitably you're gonna get the side eye and the retort about how all you want women to do is cook and clean and do all of these other stuff, which is not the point of the matter. It's about what are the roles that you're willing to occupy in order to be best perceived as a person's life partner. Because in a successful marriage, everyone has to occupy roles, otherwise it can't last a very long time. And if it just so happens that the roles that are best for you to occupy involve maintaining some of those duties, then so be it. But no one wants to think about it that way, because we don't care about roles or any of those traditional tent poles that have always factored into what constitutes the right kind of marriage situation. So now it's just sexual satisfaction, especially for a guy. It's a one-trick pony. And if a lot of these women are buying into this, and so they don't really care about whether they bring any of these other requisite qualities to the table. It's all about the extent to which they can sexually satisfy you. And if the extent to which they can sexually satisfy you is enough to your satisfaction, then they have done all they need to do to satisfy the qualifications of marriage. So I'm going to bucket this in the category of dangerous rhetoric.
Yep.
I am not at all surprised that she would be talking like this, because that's what social anarchists do. They break down all of the things that you thought were reasonably defined. The idea is to strip these things away and to redefine them in the eyes and images of others who don't have your best interest at heart. So I think this is a crazy way to talk. But if I am going to be reasonable and fair to the conversation, a lot of us as men have allowed ourselves to feed power and control on the basis of the acquisition of sex. I have said that several times on several other videos on this channel, and so I will reiterate it here. We have allowed ourselves to be nothing more than a gateway to the acquisition of things that other people want, so long as they can give us, if not sex directly, even the illusion of it. And so ultimately, I think that that's the crux of the issue here. Therefore, given that, I'm not surprised with what she said, even though I vehemently disagree with it.
Yeah, man, we live in an upside down world at this point, especially here in westernized society. All right. Yeah, we live in an upside down type of situation where sex is the priority for a lot of people, men and women, as we're seeing here in Exhibit A. Because now, if it was just Smex worker Karrine Steffans saying this, so be it. But to have the host just chiming in and also agreeing, doubling and tripling down, you know, it speaks to a population of growing women who are over sexualized themselves. Before this was just the pandemic against men, because men just could not, for the life of them, focus for the longest, and it still is us in high numbers. But creeping up, it's women that they're hypersexualized, and if they're not overtly giving up box, they're so hypersexualized is that they sexualize themselves when they just walking around in public. And because that's a reflection of also them as well being hypersexualized, and they think that's being free and stuff like that, and it's not. Being free is being able to control yourself. And one thing that these hypersexualized people struggle with is self-control. So the irony of running around saying that I'm claiming my power by giving myself away is ridiculous. So have more self-control. I bet then if you have more self-control over your box, over your emotions, over your mental state, you will feel a lot more free than you do when that guy rolls over and throws a dub at your feet, and spits in a trash can. That man don't love you. I hope you enjoy Chick-fil-A, but that's not a life. You know what I'm saying? Texting all of these dudes, your Rolodex of dudes, so they can send you $200 here, $50 there, so you can just pay your rent. Is that freedom? I don't think so. So how did people get into this situation? And it's due to high levels of conditioning, just like how we bring up on here on numerous occasions, man. I'm just trying to watch college football. And here's an ad about car insurance. and the first thing they're showing me is this woman's derriere over here. There's other things in the shot, but they focus on that. And it's happening everywhere. You watch a reality show, Love Island, Gonorrhea House, anything you want to watch is hypersexualized. These people freaked out, and they're trying to spread that disease to the rest of the population, and looks like it's working. So what I would tell Miss Karrine Steffans or any of her lackeys in that room is that you could sit there and act and pretend like this lifestyle liberates you, but I heard the tears there. The tears were, I want to be married. I don't want to be out here no more. Marry one of me. Take me off the street. That's what that really said. Look at me break her down like I'm Cheyenne Bryant. Where's my PhD? All right. But yeah, not buying it. Have some self-control. All right. Then you'll feel liberated. But giving yourself out for free, whether it's visually or physically, I would say that that's a form of bondage that you need to try to work yourself out of.
Yeah. People who would criticize comments like the ones that we are giving would probably say, y'all must not get women, or
The classic role.
y'all are lame, or y'all don't get women, or y'all don't got money, or you need to you don't get laid enough, or whatever. Listen, man, sex is important. I think sexual satisfaction is important. I think sexual chemistry and compatibility is important. But what these social anarchists are alluding to is marrying a whore. That's literally what they said. And that's where I'm going to have to put a pin in this, because, in my experience, and, I can only speak from personal experience, but I don't think one thing I've learned about my life's journey is it's not all that unique. The things that I've experienced in life, there are certain things that might be unique unto my experience, but generally speaking, I have not experienced certain things in life that are just completely, rare. They're an outlier. They're over here in a bubble, and no one's ever experienced those things before. So 9 times out of 10, if I've gone through it and if I've experienced it, it's largely probably an experience that many others can attest to. And throughout my experience, I'm just using this as a way to try to make my point here. But I've never been in any situation where a woman who likes me and wants to be with me is unwilling to meet me where I am sexually. I've never experienced that. The vast majority of my experiences have been she's willing to meet me where I am. And I think that's most women. I think most, if not all, I think the vast majority of women, I don't want to put an arbitrary number on it, but if I were to engage in such an exercise, I'm willing to say that the vast majority of women, 95% of all women, if they feel some type of way about that man, they are willing to meet that man where they are sexually. They are. They'll do whatever. Now, does that classify them as a whore or a 304? It depends on their background and their past, right? But the point is, generally speaking, most of the time women will do these things. So why the need to engage in this rhetoric in which we're trying to put out there in the atmosphere that men should let their guard down and be more open to the idea of marrying the slut? The use of these words specifically. Why are we even doing this in the first place? Well, it's because it's those women who now want the marriage title, like what you said. And what separates those women from the rest of the women in the population who are already willing to meet you where you are? See, what these women are doing is tapping into the lengths of sexual deviancy that men today are willing to go to.
Correct.
They're not talking about waking a guy up and giving him a little pleasure so that he can go about his day. They're talking about getting with a guy and being willing to go to freak offs.
Yeah, freak offs.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Because I would say 95% of the population of women are probably not on board with going to freak offs. They might be willing to meet you where you are, but are they willing to go to Diddy parties?
Exactly.
Or are they willing to
or Diddy party adjacents?
Yeah, yeah, right. Or are they cool with Diddy party adjacents? Probably not, generally speaking. but a lot of us out here who are walking around being singularly motivated by the pursuit of sex because of all the reasons that you just outlined, we might pine to go to a freak off or a Diddy party adjacent. Well, my girlfriend might not be game for that. How can I meet the girls who are willing to do that? Because that's the level that I've devolved to. Well, I'd be willing to marry you if you're cool with going to a freak off, because the regular stuff no longer suffices. And that's what they're saying. They're saying I'm an advocate for that. So whereas previously I was always excluded from the possibility of marriage because I was deemed radioactive, now in this new world where we're pursuing freak offs and Diddy parties, I'm now back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am waving my hand. I am now marriage material because you guys have devolved to the point where, typical, sexual satisfaction is no longer satisfactory. Now we're talking freak offs, Diddy party adjacent, baby oil action,
Yep.
lubed inner tubes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
this is, of course, the lengths to which we will indulge in our sexual deviancy. It's a running commentary in the world, not just on this channel. And I do think that men today and women, for the most part, have become one note. What are the extreme lengths that I am willing to go to in order to seek sexual satisfaction? And who are those who are willing to come along on that journey with me? And if you're willing to come along on that journey with me, screw all of the requisite qualifications that used to matter in terms of what constitutes a good marriage. Just give me that, because that's now all that I require.
Yeah. Hey, well said, man. Yeah, this is definitely social deconstruction. But the people out there that, it's a unique population, man, of people out there that listen to box rappers and, their lifestyle is the pole. They've done some strange things from change in the VIP room. So this is part of their lifestyle. And some of those women still want to be married.
I would actually say most of them still want to be married.
And so, this will be rhetoric that's not dangerous to them.
Yeah.
This is their only foot they can get in the door. It's their only foot. So they're going to put it in there. No pun intended. And yeah, and get it, because apparently, according to her, okay, anything's on the table. And that, honestly, bro, you can call me a square, that scares me.
They will call you a square. They will.
Yeah, I don't need that. Listen, I don't need that in my life every day. That woman's freaked out. Nah, man, just give me regular stuff, man. just give me regular stuff, man. And just like how you said, man, she's not talking about regular everyday freakiness. She's talking about like you said, baby oil action. So nah, man, to each their own. If there's guys out there that want to, risk everything, marrying somebody that's probably not stable. Because listen, when you talk about marriage, you're talking about divorce too. So this isn't just being married and having rings and doing a ceremony. This is also the potential of divorce, and you're dealing with people who just like to jump around. So teach their own. I don't want to say that. Well, people are going to say it's judgmental, but I don't think so, man. I think this is just calling a spade a spade. Roll the dice if you want, but to me, it's not worth it just because I'm into whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's a no for me, man.
Yeah. The key takeaway from this is these people who talk like this understand what they're saying, even though they're not saying it directly. They're not talking about general freakiness, because again, most women, if they like you enough, they can be as freaky as you need them to be. All right, that's the way it's always been. So this ain't about general freakiness. This is about the other stuff. This is about the other stuff, and because a lot of guys we're being controlled by sex, and so when we're being controlled by sex, the other stuff becomes the stuff that we are in pursuit of. And so it becomes a mad dash to find the people who are willing to facilitate that. And so that's when people like this can then come back into the picture, because now they have a role to occupy, because they can give us the other stuff. So yeah, if you're a freaky person in general, this ain't for you. Trust me. They ain't talking about being freaky or finding people who are into the regular freakiness. They talking about the baby oil, the lube, the powder, you know, the slip and slides where they're not running water down the slip and slide, they running lube. You know what I'm saying? That's what they talking about. They talking about the Diddy parties.
Yeah, it's a no for me, dog. So
Yeah.
y'all can have it. Me personally, I wouldn't do it. Now, you know, some people out there, you know, they would say they found out they were married to one, and it turns out that, you know, that person doesn't do the freaky stuff with them. They're just doing the freaky stuff with everybody at the job. So that one's also rough, man. But I don't know that guy was willingly trying to do that. So it's a crazy world, man.
Yeah. Lashes to Superhead, lashes to Karrine Steffans. This is dangerous rhetoric.
Hey, she loves the lashes, bro. So.
Yeah, she is now. Yeah, she does. She has now officially joined the
Dangerous Rhetoric.
The Dangerous Club. Rhetoric Club. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Friend of the channel, DDG, man. DDG is once again saying something that I want to bring up on the channel because I think is interesting. Go figure, you know. This guy is either an accidental prophet or knows what he's doing and he's just making it look like he's a moron. I don't know which is which. But you know, DDG said something that I thought we'd bring up on the channel because I found it fascinating. I think he was speaking with DJ Academics at the time, and he made a comment about how, you know, music is in a messed up place and the influence of music has been overtaken by content and content creators. You know, his suggestion is that people are leaving music behind. The potency of music isn't what it once was. The opportunity to make money off of it isn't what it once was. Everything is now a part of the content game. So this says, DDG says music is in an effed up place, thinks content is, here we go again, more lit.
Yeah.
DDG thinks content creation is in a better place than hip hop right now. In a conversation with DJ Academics at ComplexCon 2025, the rapper and Twitch streamer reflected on how he thinks that streamers and content creators are currently doing a better job than a lot of musicians are. I think all music in general is kind of effed up. People's attention is going towards content. I feel like content is more lit than music right now. He argued that people are offering more attention to content on platforms like Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok than they are to music. I'll be on TikTok at least an hour when I wake up. I mean, I stream though, so I'll be looking at my clips and seeing what people F with and what was clipped and all that. Elsewhere, during the same chat with Academics on Sunday, which was October 26th, DDG revealed he made more money in 30 days of streaming than he did from his record label deal with Epic Records. For what I signed for, I made that in 30 days on Twitch. It's unclear how much he signed with the label for, but his most recent album, Moo, recorded 4,400 album equivalent units in its first week of release. Streamers make more money than rappers, 100%, he added. There's too many ways to make money. He also fought back Academics arguing that Kai Cenat, whom DDG recently named the Streamer of the Year, was only streaming for 30 days straight for money reasons. Nobody can be bigger than them right now. I think it's more so that he said, noting that he believes Cenat is streaming as much as he is to cement his legacy. At one point during the conversation, DDG also asked if Academics was on Ozempic, which he denied. So what do you think about DDG's comment that, you know, music is in an effed up place and that content is actually, to use his words, more lit than music?
Yeah, it I didn't think about that as far as streamer. Well, I kind of did think about streamers being the new rappers. I did kind of have that thought. But yeah, I think that just speaks to that in the sense that these kids are growing up now idolizing streamers over athletes in some cases.
Yeah.
So our thing was athletes and rappers and, you know, actors. You know, who's the actor nowadays? Like, the acting game messed up. So who's hot right now when it comes to music as far as young people? Can they all agree on it? They can't. There was a consensus with us in our generations because it was limited resources. So there was a large consensus for a lot of those artists. So people just grew up like, yeah, that's my artist there or whatever. Nowadays, there's so much going on. People still kind of have that, but there's so many options. There's so many things on the buffet line that they end up filling a plate of everything and not overly on one person or another. So that level of hero worship isn't really there. So it's kind of spread out. But for gaming and the streamer community, it's kind of like taking online forums, message boards, and stuff like that. And that creates chat for these people. And so everybody in the chat it's a party when the chat is going live. It's a party when whoever's streaming is going crazy. So they look to come back at 8:00 the next night. It's their Monday night football. But one thing about it is 7 days a week. So they just get into that. I'm pretty sure they binge listen to it while they're playing their Fortnites or their whatever, is going on. So it's a lifestyle for them. And they get up for that. So when these dudes are streaming at 1 p.m. on a Saturday because they're downtown in Nashville for whatever reason, they're watching that, not college football.
Yeah.
And they're donating somebody's money. So the game has gone there and also even with the streamers themselves. I've heard on numerous occasions from streamers and other situations that these guys are pretty much, given deals. There's streamers right now that are industry plants. They gave them the platform and other things like that so they can do whatever, much like how they would do with artists. Because there's so much money that goes in with streaming. Some of these guys sign 360 deals. Like, they treat it like the music industry.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a lot more lucrative because this is better than recurring payments or just buying one album. These kids will come back and donate 3 times in one day. So, and they're coming back tomorrow. So it's a good money stream for anybody that wants to be an agent of a streamer, take cuts and all of that stuff. It's a hell of a hustle. So yeah, I agree with him. The name of the game has changed and it's moved to streaming. Music, yeah, indeed, it has taken a back seat. It's not as good as it once was. I'd say that, at least me personally. So I don't check into new stuff as much anyway. I did give that Gucci a try though. My oh my,
yeah,
that may have been. No, honestly, bro, that may have been the worst thing I've ever heard. And that's not hyperbolic. I'm hard pressed to think of anything as dumb as some of the. There were so many times that I've gasped. And I was like, "What? Why would you say that?" It's just horrendous. So that's what the state of hip hop is. Is that what rap's at? No wonder they're going to streamers. But what are your thoughts, man? The DDG saying that, hey man, the music game messed up, and honestly, the streamers have become the new thing. So what are your thoughts, bro?
I agree with him 100%. Yeah, I couldn't make it past. I think I made it to song number 8 or 9 on that Gucci, something like that.
Oh,
and I just couldn't take it anymore. I got out of there.
That's horrendous.
It was just awful. I agree with him 100%. I have a theory on this. I don't have any facts or data or statistics to back it up. It's purely anecdotal. But I actually feel like music is on the decline.
Yes.
Because we've gone well past its golden era. And so now it's just on the decline. Like everything has a peak and then it declines, right? If you think about, like, what are some things that we can think about? Technology is probably the easiest thing to look at. Whenever a new piece of technology comes out, it renders a previous piece of technology obsolete, but it takes a while before it's completely obsolete. So like I would imagine at one point the typewriter was the biggest deal in the world.
No, it was. They were
Yeah.
expensive too.
Yeah, and no one would have thought that the typewriter would just be gone, replaced, done for. And then along comes personal computers and things like that. May have taken a decade or two, but now a typewriter is a relic. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with landlines. You know, landlines, nobody didn't have a landline because you couldn't talk to anybody. But, you know, once cell phones became more of a mainstay, eventually it took like 20, 25 years. No one has a landline anymore. Like landlines are relics. I think, you know, in terms of culture and society, other things can have heydays and then gradually they'll have a decline. I think music is one of those things. I think music in terms of its mass consumption was at its peak during our generation. In terms of it being a mass appeal consumer product, I'm not going to try to give a date as to when it started. I don't know, late 1800s, early 1900s, whatever you want to say. But it experienced that period of having that mass appeal, I would say, up until probably like, I think the early 2000 teens. I would say 2010, 11, 12 is kind of when music as a creative outlet, the influence of it started to wane and eventually give way to content. I look at movies the same way. I think movies, the entertainment industry in general, from a traditional standpoint, music, movies, and television, all of that to me is on a sharp decline, where it no longer captures the cultural zeitgeist the way that it did when it was in its heyday. I mean, if you look at comedy as an art form specifically, you know, when we came up and stand-up comedy was a big deal in the, you know, 70s and 80s and the 90s, stand-up comedy now is a shell of itself. And it isn't because there are various environmental factors that are contributing to why it's a shell of itself, but it has given way to other forms of content. And when I was coming up as a jit, you couldn't tell me that comedy, specifically stand-up comedy, would cease to have the impact that it did back then. But clearly nowadays it has no impact compared to the way it used to. And I look at movies the same way. Things have just experienced a sharp decline. I think music is a part of that. I think the golden era of music, at least for us, especially given our sphere of influence with hip hop and rap, was, you know, early 90s all the way through, I would say, the late 2000s. And after that period of time, it ceased to be the galvanizing influence that it was back then. And we're in the midst of its sharp decline, in which the industry, the business of it, the people who make music, they're being overtaken now by content creators. Content creators, as you said, are becoming the new rappers. They're becoming the new actors. They're becoming the new people who move the needle. And as weird as this may sound, we are entering the golden era of content creation, or rather, maybe we're in the midst of the golden era of content creation. And when I say content creation, I'm not just talking about people like Kai Cenat and DJ Academics and DDG and people like that. You know, all of the podcasters, the big people, the call her daddies and all of that kind of stuff. You know, I'm not just talking about that. I'm also talking about OnlyFans and things like that. All of that is lumped into the category of content creators. And we are currently in the midst of its golden era. But trust and believe, I don't know how long of a runway it has, but it has a runway. And eventually its runway will come to an end. What is it going to give way to? At this point, I'm not exactly sure. I can't see into the future, but something is going to come along if we're all still here. And content creation is going to give way to that thing. And content creators will then cease to have the impact at that point that they have now, because everything experiences a zenith and then there's a decline. Gaming is another one. The golden era of gaming is also our generation. You know, the 90s, the 2000s, the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis era. you know, the Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, all the way down to the Xbox 360 and the PS3. That I would say is the golden era of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, gaming is not what the technology's better, the graphics may be better, the consoles might be more powerful, but the palpability and the lasting impact of the games themselves, it does not come close to comparing what it was like when we were playing video games growing up with the Super Nintendo and all of that. So the question is, what is going to come along that streaming and content creation is going to give way to? That's the interesting conversation, because there's going to be something. But yeah, as crazy as it may sound, music is dying off. It's dying slowly. It's slow. It's a slow burn. It's not a gradual thing where we're going to wake up tomorrow and no one's listening to music at all. So it's certainly a slow burn, but it is going away. It is. And I think the quality of music, just like the quality of television and movies, is consistent with the fact that it's gradually declining. And that's not to say that there is no quality music in existence, because of course there is, just like there is still quality in movies and television. There's pockets where there is extraordinary quality in those various mediums, but on a wide level, there's a decline. And I believe that to be an objective fact, even though it is officially an opinion. So yeah, I think he's 100% right. So he is someone who is fortunate enough to be riding the wave at the point in which this thing is at its apex. And hopefully he can maximize that as much as possible, because once it declines, it will decline, and there's not going to be anything to stop the decline, because everything declines.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You know, it's sad to see music in the state of affairs that it's in right now. Music has always been, so music overall isn't going anywhere. It's what's happened to music that's what's sad about the state of music right now. And right now, which is to me what's driving the end of it, or the perceivable end of, you know, golden eras of music, it's the money behind it. Because of how this thing is being treated as a commodity, it's being treated as a bottom line for certain entities out there, that they have stripped away the things that actually make people enjoy music. Even the most cynical listener right now, who reminisces about the past and how good Sam Cooke can sing, right? If somebody came out right now that can sang,
Yeah.
all right, I don't care how old that person is or how young, they will be able to resonate with that level of singing that person does, and it would move them the same way that they got moved when they first heard Sam Cooke, for instance. And same thing goes for you know, all kinds of music, country, rock and roll, or whatever. I mean, there's just some songs that even come out that, you know, came out in the 2000s or whatever. I mean, if the beat is dumb enough, or the way the person sang is good enough, it'll lock in. But it's the only song that happened within this window, and we're getting less of those songs. I would say we're not getting those songs that move everybody. They Not Like Us was more of a it's a banger, but it's more of a meme of a song. It fit the time, you know. But I say that to say is that I think that the corporate angle has driven the current state of music across all genres into this. All right, who's this person? Because you know they're an industry plan at this point. You know, there's nothing that they do that's really appealing. You're force fed these people. So that's the part about this that really kind of sucks about music. And yes, that would also eventually hit streaming. It's already going to water it down, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure there's some kids right now that said that yeah, this isn't like the streams I was watching,
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
They're already doing that, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? Because some of these new people that get on or whatever, they're, shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks, It's like, why are you doing? Yeah, why are you doing that? Shout out to our, there's more ad reads than actual streaming, with all of this stuff going on nowadays. So eventually that's going to run its course too. And it's going to be not because people like hanging out via the internet, with somebody that they think is funny and hanging out in the chat with everybody else. That part of them is not going to want to go away, but the corporatized side of it will, them nickeling and diming, forcing them to donate or forcing them to do certain things at certain times. Yeah, they're not going to like that. And it's going to drive them away from that. Because that's what happened with the music industry. They just nickel and diming away. Streaming just absolutely destroyed it. So, yeah, I see the same thing coming for that. So if there is a reason why it devolved, it's because these interests are more interested in their bottom line than actually entertaining the people. And eventually the product itself takes a hit and then people want to move on to something else. So, yeah, DDG is at the height of it. People want to look back and say, how much were those guys making for doing what? Yeah, he's definitely caught himself at the right time with this stuff. So, great time to be lit as a streamer for him.
Yeah, yeah. The pandemic created several micro economies that have become the major economy, and it replaced a lot of stuff. And I do believe that social media, quick access content, and content creators have effectively, for the most part, especially with younger generations, replaced music and movies and even like television. So that's the thing about it. So yeah, and the corporate influence revolving around all those things, of course, further exacerbates the manner in which these factors are taking over these mediums, but they ironically also exacerbate their demise too. So that's the funny thing about it. But the same thing is going to happen with streaming. I firmly believe that it's gonna, because this is the way things work with capitalism. We're already seeing streamers maintaining presence at prominent events that you'd otherwise not think they'd be at. I remember the first time I saw Kai Cenat at Celebrity All-Star Weekend for the NBA. Or those two Italian girls. I can't even remember their names, but they're big on TikTok. I don't even know what they do. I don't know if they're still on TikTok or not, but they were a part of that initial huge TikTok wave. I think they're related. I think they're sisters or twins, Italian girls. I can't remember what their names are, but people probably know who I'm talking about. People like that. You know what I'm saying? Like these people showing up at NBA All-Star Weekend, and it's like, who is this? Who is this person? Well, they're going to experience that golden period where for 5 to 10, 20 years, they are going to be the go-to in terms of, you want to, generate a lot of buzz around your event or your show or whatever, bring these people in. We're not bringing in old crusty rappers or musicians or pop stars or actors and actresses anymore. Now let's bring these people in. But as that gets corporatized, it's going to exacerbate the demise and the onset of the next thing that's set to replace it. But everything has a golden era, which is eventually followed by a decline. And it's funny because no one would think about music in a sense that it's going away or declining, because music is so kind of ubiquitous and everywhere, and it's been around since the beginning of time, and everyone has a familiarity with music. Everybody has a few favorite music artists or song or whatever. But I do think that we are in the midst of that, where eventually music is just going to be this secondary thing that people barely pay attention to. I really do believe that. So like I said before, it's going to be interesting to see what is the thing that eventually, what is going to be the thing that puts content creation out of its misery, the way content creation, in my opinion, is putting music out of its misery.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, man. Like once Netflix took over, and things like Redbox was taken out the game. I was like, what's gonna take over you know, because when Redbox became a thing, you know, I was like, dang, bro, Blockbuster's in trouble.
Yeah.
Look out, Hollywood Video. And I'm like, there's no way that anything can change from here. Can it?
Yeah.
Can it? Can
Right.
it? Yeah. And then Netflix came. And then Netflix is doing its best to stay ahead of the curve. But yeah, eventually there'll be something that takes them over.
Yep.
You know, what would that be? I mean, who knows, man? You know, I never thought we'll get to the point where we're having virtual headsets and all this other stuff. I mean, yeah, I could think of that, but when, you know, yeah, I expected to see that at the same time I saw hovering cars. So, you know, I'm like, well, when are we going to actually get, you know, VR headsets and stuff like that? But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some type of VR world where people are going to be getting live in there. You know, it's all kinds of things. So, I think the best way of looking at these things is if you're about making money and monetizing, you know, anything, you know, it's being aware. If you can get in on the streaming thing, so be it. But just know there's going to be another one. There's going to be something else that replace all these things, and you got to start getting on the ground floor on some of these evolutionary changes. So you can just be in there making your bag. You don't have to be in front of the camera or whatever it is going to be. You can just be a part of it, like the people that pay DDG. You know,
well, that's how you make the money, though. If you're trying to get into something after it's already become popular, you're too late. Yeah. You're too late. You have to be able to foresee something coming and get in on that well before it blows up and becomes more of a consumer product. Like if you're trying to make money in something that's already transitioned into being a consumer product, you're already too late. So like, you know, if you're think about stuff like apps and technology, like these people, these angel investors and these venture capitalists who get rich off of these apps, well before you're using these and well before you can download them in the Google Play Store or the App Store or on the iPhone or whatever, what's that thing called, the Apple App Store? Well before you have the ability to download that stuff was worked on and invested in 10-15 years prior. The masses are just now learning what it is because now it's a consumer product. But the opportunity to get rich off that stuff, to make money off of it, has long since passed. So yeah, you're absolutely right. If what you're thinking about in terms of the right way to capitalize this monetarily, if that's kind of where your mind is going, like you have to be able to identify things that are 10 years out, literally. And then you just are investing in it and trying to figure out how you can best leverage it and playing the waiting game, because that's what all the rest of these people did. And so people who were at the forefront of content creation, they were working on this stuff way before it became a thing. And the only people who are making money off of it after it became a thing are people who have a machine behind them and a suite of resources that can basically allow them to bully ball their way into it. And give them the opportunity to create a market share for themselves, despite the fact that they're getting into the game relatively late. But if you're not able to benefit from that kind of machine where you just have all of these resources at your disposal to kind of, you know, strong arm your way into the operation, you got to have the foresight to be able to see things well in advance. Because by the time you learn about it, it's already too late.
Yeah, I don't know what it'll be. You know, it might be, you know, all that metaverse stuff. There's going to be some type of virtual world. You know, so if you want to pay to get into that, you know, I guess. But there's gonna be something, man. So you know, might as well get a check while you hate it, I guess. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what else to do, but sitting around crying about it and not getting a paycheck out of it, yeah, that kind of sucks. So
yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, I think DDG's right, man. You know, I don't think he was thinking about it in a galaxy brain level that we just kind of took it, but I think he is right. I think music is in a rough place, and I do think it is being slowly replaced. So shouts out once again to a defined friend of the channel, DDG, for providing us with yet another opportunity to talk about interesting things on the channel.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, who would have known? And speaking of getting on the ground floor of things and not complaining about it, the future is here, people. So what you see there before you is a home robot called Neo. It's a $20,000 home robot that if you're willing to, put down a deposit for and get in line, you'll actually be able to own one of these things in the States in the very near future. And there's some technological kinks that are being worked out. But yeah, this thing is surely set to replace actual human workers in these various capacities. People who actually do housekeeping work and hospitality work and things like that. This robot. So, what's the jazz with this thing? So, to provide a little context, this says Neo, the $20,000 home robot, can take out your trash and water your plants. The future has arrived. A new humanoid robot for the home has gone viral after being introduced on YouTube by a company called 1X. Neo is a safe humanoid robot that does your chores and offers personalized assistance. According to USA Today, Neo went on sale on October 28th, achieving the milestone of being the first for-purchase robot that performs household chores. The robot is equipped with 4 microphones, 3 speakers, and fisheye cameras for vision. Called Neo Home Robot, the humanoid is for sale for $20,000 or $500 a month, according to the company's website. The website describes Neo as capable of personalized interactions. The video announces that Neo is a humanoid for the home. The video then shows multiple scenes of the humanoid robot doing basic tasks around the home, such as handing a woman flowers, carrying boxes, and even taking out the trash while its owner sits on a sofa reading the newspaper. The video has had more than 770,000 views in a day. Another video shows the 1X robot dancing with its owner. The Neo robot is a humanoid companion that combines AI and daily hardware. According to the video, it is described as quiet and lightweight, designed for safety. Neo can carry up to 50 pounds, comes with a machine washable knit suit and customizable shoes. People can ask the Neo questions and program it to do chores. People have mixed views on the YouTube thread. So it begins, one wrote. This commercial looks like the start to a horrifying movie. I miss the days when personal robots were cute little forklifts that rolled around and played with blocks on your desk, another person added. The kind of video you see from a flashback of the soul survivor protagonist of a post-apocalyptic movie. So we'll go ahead and get out of this because we do have a video to share from a report that was done on Neo, the humanoid robot. I think it's this one. Yeah. All right. So yeah, here's a news report from the Wall Street Journal, I believe, about showcasing Neo the robot.
The first humanoid robot housekeeper.
Thank you, Neo.
For $20,000, you can pre-order 1X's Neo robot now, with delivery in 2026.
I think you missed a tiny spot over here.
Just one little catch. There may be a human behind the curtain, pulling the robot's strings.
If I throw up, will the robot throw up?
A company representative may need to peer into your house via Neo's camera eyes to get things done.
To many people, this is crazy.
You have to be okay with this for the product to be useful.
We're twinning now, Neo.
1X is taking on home robotics' biggest challenges, creating a safe body and a smart brain. Its fabric-covered body lets Neo try to do a lot of things humans do around the house. Emphasis on try.
You got this, Neo. You got it.
My challenge, load 3 items in the dishwasher.
Man, get this thing out my house. What is this thing doing? Hey, bro, hold up. Man, I got it, bro. It's only 3 cups, bro.
And that took 5 minutes. The challenge
Yeah.
isn't just Neo's body, it's also its brain. It needs to know how to perform tasks on its own, without human help. But right now, everything I saw Neo do was guided by a skilled teleoperator in a VR headset. This is how Neo learns. The videos of the robot doing household work via teleoperation become the training data to make the AI model smarter. That's why 1X is putting Neo in the homes of early adopters.
I think it's quite important for me to just say that in 2026, if you buy this product, it is because you're okay with that social contract. If we don't have your data, we can't make the product better.
The next few years isn't about owning a super useful robot. It's about raising one. But at least this robot can have lots of fun.
No, like this. 6, 7, 6, 7.
It's here, the first humanoid.
All right, and then we also have another funny video with our show Speed here, interacting with the video, interacting with one of these robots.
Making the future, man.
Making.
What? Making the future, man.
What? He's talking to me. Yo, bro, Ronaldo or Messi?
Ronaldo, what kind of question is that?
Yo. Yo, making.
Oh yeah, 20 grand, bro. So you putting your name on that list? You putting that
20
deposit
racks.
down?
20 racks. I'm paying $500 a month for this thing to fumble around my kitchen, right? Have some basement dwelling kid peer into my home and animatronically control the thing. No thanks, man. And just like the guy saying, you're okay with that, you know. You got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
We need the data.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant. This is because what this showed me is that this is not it. And honestly, you're a fool if you spend $20,000 on this or $500 a month or whatever you try to get into payment plan for this thing. Anyway, it's a ripoff because they needed a way to get into people's house with one of these things. This thing isn't smart. It's not anything. Basically, what they said is this thing's an idiot. It clunks around, so we need somebody to manually control it.
Yeah.
They're in the house to collect data. Period. This thing is an experiment, not an actually final product. And so for him saying you got to be okay with that, you got to be okay with that. That was basically him saying that this is not a finished product. It's an experiment that you're signing up for. You're signing up for a free trial with this, not free trial. What do you call that? It's like, yeah, one of those trial things that they do for pharmaceuticals.
Beta testing.
Yeah, beta tested. You know what I'm saying? And you're part of their rollout and you're part of their data collection. So those strange conversations you like to have about the neighbors because they don't look like you and all this other stuff that you do is going to be recorded, man. This thing is recording audio and visuals, and it is clunking around. It is gathering machine learning data in order for it to do its job better down the line. But your house is going to be lab. So to sign up, to pre-order, to be part of some lab experiment is absolutely ridiculous. But nevertheless, we are getting here. We are getting there to the point to where they're actually going to have one of these things that are, air quote, completely autonomous, that doesn't need to have somebody manually do things, you know, unless it needs to be overridden or whatever. But, you know, Neo, or the first one, this is the first one that's going to have to get in there and collect all that information that it needs to be a better version of whatever the next one is. And this company is so smart to be one of the first to get out there to actually put one in a house so they can actually sell the data. That's why they need it. And that's why you need to be okay with this contract, because they're going to sell this to whoever's trying to make humanoid bots. So it's a brilliant strategy on their behalf. I was trying to figure out why they're rolling out something so half-baked, and I think it's honestly because of the data. But yeah, man, I think this is what's going to happen. This is the wave of the future, apparently. I know there will be people signing up for this. $500 a month when you could just pay $500 for 2 months of work. If you only hire hourly to come through and clean a spot, like, whatever it is, I think it's a to pay. But what are your thoughts, man, on Neo becoming the first safe? It's funny they threw the word safe humanoid robot to be in people's houses. What are your thoughts, man?
I completely agree with you. I do think the point of it is the data collection, and they're so confident that they will be able to put this thing into people's homes that they said in the interview it's about collect. Like the guy said, you have to be comfortable with the fact that we're going to be collecting your data. So they're so confident that this product is going to pierce the veil in terms of being a consumer product that there's no need for them to dance around the fact that they're going to be actively collecting your data because they know people are going to buy it anyway. And it's stuff like this that made me roll my eyes at people who engaged in righteous indignation over the TikTok situation, talking about, well, China this, and I don't want to give up my data that. It's like y'all give up y'all data every single day, all day, every day. Now all of a sudden you want to unmute about TikTok. Why? Because it's Chinese owned. You give up your data all the time. You're on Instagram all day, every day. How do you think that they put those ads in your feed? You think that was just random? It's listening to you. And you didn't bother to read the terms of service of using the app, so you don't even know that there's language in that document which says you're forfeiting your data to us.
Yes.
That allows us to advertise and sell to you. So your data has already been given up. You just don't care about it because I guess, effectively, stuff like Facebook and Instagram, because they've already, gained a certain level of credibility in terms of the American population that I guess at the time TikTok didn't, that there was less of a chance that people would be outraged over that stuff, even though they've been given their data up. So I always laughed at people like, why y'all going to engage in all of these histrionics and go into conspiracy theory tinfoil hat mode about TikTok over concerns about data security and privacy when you've been giving up your data for 15, 20 years on Instagram already. You've been giving this stuff up. So my point in saying all of that is people don't give a shit about how much information they're forfeiting. It is clear to me people no longer care. So long as they can be given a certain amount of convenience, or even if it's a prestige play. You have a lot of people who will buy stuff like this because they can afford it, and so it's a flex. And so for all the various motivations that people will lean into in order to own one of these things, they're going to do it regardless of how much privacy they're forfeiting in the process. And so, they know that they're going to be able to sell this thing. So they're getting out in front of you and they're telling you we're collecting your data in the process. People are going to buy it anyway. Nobody cares. So you're right. It is about the data collection, and the data itself is a product.
Yes.
And it's not just about them being able to sell the data. It's also about you being able to get, because like, the thing about stuff like, the servers that are housing all of your texting, because ladies and gentlemen, nothing is private. I hope y'all know this. Like when y'all text, that data is being housed on servers that are confidential, but they nevertheless can be accessed.
Yes.
So you know what I'm saying? Like the government does if they want, if it wants, has the power to subpoena Meta or whomever for that information if necessary. So if people wanted to obtain this information on you, they could. They just don't, because there's high levels of clearance and there's high levels of like checks and balances that they have to cross in order to maintain the ability to exercise that power. But make no mistake about it, the ability to exercise that power does exist. All right, it's not lacking in existence. So, you know, and because it exists, there are going to be controlling interests who are going to have a vested interest in having some sort of an ability to obtain that information. But again, nobody cares because people don't care about stuff anymore. You know, I'll buy this and I'll do whatever, you know, for a little bit more convenience, for a little more social prestige, for a little more status, just to be able to just do stuff. People will do these things and they'll forfeit all this data and information. The only thing that I will say, because I'm over that, I've been giving up on people when it comes to that stuff. The only thing that I will say is, you know, there's this conversation going on with people pushing back against the idea that AI is not going to replace jobs. Like, people, you know, and I get it, these are the contrarians, right? Because I'm the person who's on one side of the fence saying AI's ultimate purpose is the removal of humans in the workforce. That's my belief. So there's a lot of smart people in journalism, in the media, in the business world who are pushing back against that idea, trying to convince people that there's no threat to jobs or livelihood presented by AI, that all of that is overblown hearsay. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's fear-based, non-factual, anecdotal stuff. Don't buy into the fear-mongering and the hype. AI is not here to replace workers or jobs or humans in any capacity. If you can look at this kind of stuff with a straight face and still say that, you're delusional.
Right.
Because how long is it going to take? You know, there are people who hire, you know, people for housekeeping work, you know, people who rely on that for their livelihoods. How long before this becomes such widespread in terms of use that people are no longer hiring those people anymore? You know, or what about the hospitality industry? Do you really not see a future in which hotels, resorts, timeshare places like this are not going to replace actual human service workers with robots as they continue to fine-tune and advance the technology that can come into your room and change the sheets on your bed and replace the towels and the soaps and the washcloths? They are going to jump at the first chance they get to fire all of those people and bring in these machines.
Yes.
Are you really that naive to believe that that's not going to happen? Seriously? You're fooling yourself if you don't think that's going to happen. You're going to walk up into a Hyatt or a Hilton, or you're going to go to the MGM Grand, or you're going to go to the Hard Rock, or wherever you're staying at in your hotel, the DoubleTree, the Biltmore, the Diplomat, wherever you staying, 15, 20 years from now, there are no longer going to be people changing out your sheets, knocking on your door saying housekeeping. I guarantee it. So, yeah, you can talk about all of the ancillary benefits that this is going to have in terms of what it's going to provide for humanity. I will stick to my guns on my belief that this is all about replacing humans in the workforce.
Yeah, I've heard
corporations. I'm just last thing, because corporations can't help themselves. Like, the one thing that they want more than anything else is to make money. Do you know what the next thing that they want more than anything else after making money is? Being able to make money without having to pay people.
Yeah.
These bastards salivate at the opportunity to make money without having to pay people.
Correct.
Are you kidding me?
They wouldn't even pay themselves if they didn't have to. They wouldn't.
Oh,
they wouldn't, man.
Yeah, so get ready, people, because it's on the way.
Yeah, man. Listen. Yeah, I mean, I agree, bro. When it comes to because I've heard the talks of, you know, it's hopium.
Yeah,
it's hopium. They're like, oh, the AI is turning on itself, y'all. You know, it's putting out so much information and it's so watered down, and it's so much information on the internet that's just AI, that the AI is feeding off the bad information and giving more bad information. And it's like, okay, who's that hurting? Besides the people who search it. So that's not the AI out here cannibalizing itself doesn't hurt the people who make it. It hurts the people who are consuming, that AI information, But I don't see how, the AI creating blogs about candles, okay, is going to harm one of these people that's building a robot with AI in it to blow out the candles. You know what I'm saying? And clean up the rest of the house while they're at it. That blog ain't gonna hurt it. So, all of that hopium out there talking about something, it's cannibalizing itself, that it's not as strong as they once thought it was, and blah, 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 by the year, this and this and that, it won't be. No, that's for these dumb chat model bots. And if they get dumber, to hell with it. That doesn't hurt the fact that they're gonna have some new people build that condo. I mean, the robots build that condo and not people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm with you, man. I don't know where that felt real, orchestrated. All of these articles talking about how AI isn't as bad and it's not as daunting as we once thought. Says who?
Yeah.
They're automating every damn thing. So, and layoffs are more frequent than ever. So I don't want to hear that stuff. I'm seeing there in 4K and in practicality, a robot literally dropped somebody off at CVS, the robot car. You know what I'm saying? Autonomous Uber drivers. Okay. So even Uber drivers are getting the shaft. So I don't want to hear this. This is for sure going to replace, like you said, hotel employees, hospitalities,
yes,
restaurants.
Yeah.
Because now you don't have to deal with customers complaining about customer service. If it's a bot, you know what I'm saying, dropping off the things and have a nice day, and blah 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 blah, all that other weird stuff, and have it drop it off and get away, blah 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 blah. You don't have to deal with anything anymore. If you're a business owner who's into this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 100% with you, man. This also shows me how far they are away from it, though. At least if they need to roll out something like this, and it's a complete idiot. I mean, the damn thing couldn't close a dishwasher.
It took 5 minutes to load.
Like
5 minutes to load 3 glasses into a dishwasher.
Come on, bro. But you can dap up ISO speed. Get the hell out of here, bro. You're just as lazy as the other workers are. What I'm paying you $500 a week for. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear that crap, man. But eventually, yes, it will get to the point where because people are going to sign up for this experiment. That's crazy. What a hell of a business model. And I'm pretty sure when they told their investors and all of this stuff, it's like, hey, look, the fun part is we get to charge people for the trial period. And they're going to help fund the operation. Y'all are literally helping fund the operation with this stuff. So even if I was somebody inclined to do one of these things because I'm so much into tech and I don't care much about my privacy, I'll still feel like a bit of a yuppie for being a part of their experiment. So all in all, it's going to do what it does. I wish I was on the ground floor with this investment when I'm an angel investor of this, because the payday is coming very soon. Because once it collects all this little stuff of, hey, that's a hot sauce bottle, you got to treat that different than an olive oil bottle. The olive oil bottle is a lot more, it can take more impact. It's got to learn all of that stuff. And it's going to be breaking hot sauce bottles in your ass, in your house. You know what I'm saying? Just so the model 5 years from now will know how to handle it. It's crazy stuff, man. And I'm not paying $500 a month to do that. Insane.
Yeah, I mean, I already know where I stand on this. I care too much about humans to embrace this kind of stuff. If I'm in a position to where I am able to afford housekeeping services of any kind, I will continue to hire people just because I feel like I'm doing my own individual part to contribute to the world in a meaningful way by giving someone who needs it a chance or an opportunity. And I'll take all of the human related not backlash, but all the things that come along with that, because it's easier to deal with a bot than it is to deal with a human. But I'll deal with all that stuff because just on principle, I just don't like what this stuff stands for. And to me, it's an inevitability. And I personally can't stand listening to people disingenuously speak on this stuff as if we're not headed in that direction.
Yeah, I don't
that
get
that really annoys me to hear so-called smart people tell me that corporations are not going to do with this what corporations have done for the entirety of human existence,
Correct.
which is cut costs and cut labor where they can in order to maximize profit. This is going to be the next iteration of their chance to do that, period. And you cannot convince me otherwise.
Yep. Hey, man. So we'll see, man. Let us know down in the comment section, y'all. Will you guys be leasing one of these bots? Or are you going to pay the whole down $20K? Let us know down in the comment section. I wouldn't have this thing walk my dog if I had one. So not interested.
Yeah, I'll pass. Get out. I don't like it one bit. And we move on to a hip hop OG, the Alchemist, who is commenting on the recent, I guess, news that hip hop dropped out of the Billboard Hot 100 for the first time in we don't know how long. There isn't a single hip hop song in the Billboard Hot 100, and a lot of people are commenting or speaking towards the relative quality of the music as to the reason as to why that's happened. And Alchemist is saying it has nothing to do with the quality of the music. Now, he didn't elaborate on that. He just said it has nothing to do with the quality of the music. But a lot of people are speculating, or rather giving their belief, that the reason why this has happened is that the music isn't good, that it sucks. Alchemist, of course, takes exception to that. So this says, the Alchemist says rap's top 40 absence isn't because of this one thing. All right, so it's not the top 100, it's the top 40. The Alchemist has weighed in on rap's historic absence from the Billboard Hot 100's top 40. After 35 years straight of rap dominating the charts, hip-hop has officially hit a lull, with 0 songs from the genre landing inside the top 40. The news sparked waves of conversation across social media, but the legendary producer offered a grounded take that instantly resonated. No rap in top 40 has nothing to do with the music being bad or good, Out wrote in a post on X. His comment arrives as hip-hop experiences a rare speed bump in its mainstream dominance. On the chart dated October 25th, 2025, Kendrick Lamar and SZA's 13-week #1 hit, Luther, officially fell off the Hot 100, leaving no rap songs within the top 40 for the first time since February 1990. The highest charting rap entry this week belongs to NBA YoungBoy. Oh, speaking of
NASA.
belongs to NBA YoungBoy Shot Calling at number 43, followed by Big X the Plug's Hell at Night, featuring Ella Langley and Tyler the Creator's Sugar on My Tongue at number 50 and 51, respectively. While hip-hop's absence has sparked debates over rap's cultural standing and mainstream momentum at the moment, Alchemist's response suggests the moment is less about quality and more about industry mechanics. Billboard recently adjusted its chart methodology, removing older recurrent songs that had spent extended time on the chart, a rule that knocked out Luther after 46 weeks. 7 other non-rap songs were also removed. At its peak in 2020, hip-hop as a genre accounted for nearly 30% of U.S. music consumption. That number dipped to just over 25% by 2023 and has hovered around 24% through October 2025. For comparison, the same chart week in 2020 featured 16 rap songs in the top 40. 2 years ago, there were 8. So Alchemist doesn't believe that it has anything to do with music quality. Of course, he didn't get specific. He just said it has nothing to do with music being good or bad. So do you agree with him that it doesn't have anything to do with the music being good or bad?
Yeah, I agree with. I agree with him because I know where he's coming from. And just a side note, as an addendum, our girl, which we covered last week with her Lover Girl album, has broken the streak. Okay, so she cracked the top 40, and every hip hop blog made sure they mentioned that. All right, so
this is who? Oh, Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion. So
Oh, I
she
got it.
crept back in there. So they're back in the runnings again. However, the fact that this has hit a low for the past 35 years, it does speak volumes because it kept. I mean, imagine a winning streak for 35 years, and for the last few years, people said y'all not as good as y'all used to be. And for them to actually lose a game, people gonna rush the field on that, And so there's a lot of people having conversations this past week about the state of hip hop because it's not in the top 40. So I do think it's significant. If it hasn't happened for this long and it finally does, what's the reason why? And honestly, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's got a losing streak on its hands. I think we're gonna see more of that going down the line. And I do think it's due to the quality of what people are ingesting, the mainstream. The quality of the mainstream has never really been, top tier, when it comes to what the masses are given on an everyday basis on the radio and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a song here, a song here, a song there. But every time you bought an album, you always heard songs better than the ones that they actually play on the radio. And so the mainstream has always had this watered down, washed down element to it. However, it has gotten so watered down that it's basically just water. And it's not even alkaline water. It's literally toxic. So nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. And so a lot of people have checked out. We covered it in the last topic, when we were talking about, music being in a bad spot. And people just moving away from music. I think in general, in mass, across all genres, people aren't banging music like they used to. They still listen to it, but it's really extremely background stuff now. You just listen to it while you do this, listen to it while you do that. But as you mentioned, streaming, podcasting, and stuff like that has now started to creep into people's everyday stuff. As you mentioned, man, on your workout or at work or something like that, people are listening to people, talk about stuff.
Bro, when I'm at the gym, not to cut you off, but when I'm at the gym, I will look and see what people are like listening to because they'll have their phone like, you can see what's on the phone. And very rarely is it music. Now, I don't know if this is just me or whether other people have noticed this, but when I go to work out, that's when I get to see what the majority of people kind of consume in terms of audio and visual and whatnot. And I'll look on the phone and it's like a YouTube video or an actual television, like a podcast. It'll be something like that. But I find myself noticing that it used to universally be music.
Yes.
And I found myself noticing, and maybe it's just me, but I've noticed this, that in the majority of the time, whenever I do take note, most of the time I'm not seeing music. I'm seeing other forms of content.
Yeah, and I think because music don't hit as much as it used to. It just doesn't. Even for these young people that like NBA YoungBoy, they'll still watch their streamers. They'll still do that. And they listen to that music, but not like how we did, man. It's kind of like we didn't have a life. It was literally just the music we would listen to.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a good thing people have moved on from just doing that. But yeah, it's not the same type of stuff anymore. And I think where Alchemist is coming from is, hey, it doesn't necessarily mean the quality, like it's due to the quality. And I think he's talking, of course, from a biased perspective of what he does.
Exactly.
And the people he associate with.
Correct.
And because those people do make good music.
Correct.
The overwhelming majority of them.
Yeah.
So he's coming from a perspective of it's not necessarily quality, because if what we did was considered mainstream, y'all would say we never fell off. So, of course, I think this was a self-promotionary thing, not in an egotistical kind of way, but just in the situation of, everybody's complaining of how the quality of music's gone bad, but apparently I haven't been listening to any of my work. So I can hear that argument, but I would just also say, as I said in the beginning, is that the mainstream music that is now given, it is really not good. Last thing I'll say is I had some Zaxby's the other day. Don't ask me why. All right. And I'm sitting there. It's the first time ever having it. Fries were decent. But when I got to the chicken, I was like, what is this? This isn't a chicken. I don't know what kind of texture this is, but this is the strangest chicken I've ever eaten. And at that point, I knew I was eating lab-grown chicken. That had to be produced in a lab. It was bad, but I paid all that money for it, so I finished it. And then I felt a little weird afterwards. Like, what the hell did I just eat? And I said that to say is that right now, mainstream music is completely artificial. It is so bad that even if you like it because it's kind of catchy, eventually you get to this point where I'm sick of this. This song is dumb. And that's why they don't have the same type of staying power, because there's literally no substance at all. So I agree with him from his own personal worldview. Yeah, the quality of his stuff hasn't fallen off. He has been very consistent throughout his entire career. And the people that he associates himself with, I also tend to be fans of those people. So from his worldview, no, the quality of music hasn't gone down, but as a whole, it really has. But what are your thoughts, man, on the Alchemist basically saying that, hey, hip hop falling out of the top 40 isn't due to the quality of music. It has to be something else. What are your thoughts, man?
I completely agree with you, and you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't think it's a coincidence that he is unmuting, because he just released a collaborative album with Hit Boy last week. I actually listened to it over the weekend, and it is good. So he, I believe, is speaking from his perspective. When he says it's not because the quality is good or bad, I do believe what he is saying is there's good quality music in existence. You just aren't listening to it.
Correct.
But he's barking up the wrong tree, because what he needs to take aim at is why it is that his album on a mainstream level ain't getting talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Because where are the Alchemist Hit Boy spins? I'm not hearing them.
I think I saw, not to cut you off, I think I saw something that they were collaborating. I thought it was just a song. I didn't know it was a whole album. So that
it's a whole project, which goes to show you the muscle behind the industry. What are they putting their energy behind?
Mm-hmm.
So he just made an innocuous comment. So I don't think he's going at anybody other than, and he's an old school hip hop guy. So he's probably always going to be somebody who defends hip hop against the idea that it's bad art, because it's given him his whole life. So I completely understand that. But at the same time, his approach to music and what he does is not what is being consumed by the masses.
No, it's not.
Trust me.
They're consuming NASA.
Yes, I can go outside right now and find 10 people who claim to be rap and hip hop fans and ask them if they've listened to this, and not one of them have listened to this thing. And I will go a step further and say most of them probably won't even know who the Alchemist is.
That's insane.
Well, I mean, think about it. Do you think a 25-year-old would know who the Alchemist is right now?
Yeah, Young Thug just said that. He went viral for saying that he didn't know who Alchemist was.
Yeah. So come on, man. Like, so my whole thing is it's what's mainstreamed and popularized by the genre. And if we're going along that standard, I do understand why there isn't a song in the top 40, because the mainstream popularized version of the music is, in my opinion, objectively worse. Like, I agree with you. The radio singles, the songs that everybody used to know as singles going back to our generation, that was always the stuff that was like the gateway to listen to the rest of the music on the album. But we always collectively understood there's far better stuff that are part of the album cut.
Correct.
But comparatively speaking, the radio singles from the 90s and the 2000s are a zillion times better than the radio singles that they force feed down people's throats today.
Bro, this stuff is so bad. Go on, continue, bro. It's so bad.
Yeah. So I think and you hit the nail on the head. I believe Alchemist is speaking from his vantage point. It's his perspective of his world of hip hop, who he collaborates with, who he makes music with, who he produces songs for, the kind of stuff he listens to. Like the day that we hear a song where it's, you know, The Alchemist featuring 21 Savage, which, you know what I'm saying? These days, unfortunately, you can't put anything past anything. But until I hear that, I am going to believe that Alchemist is speaking from the perspective of his purview when it comes to music. And so from his purview of music, I can understand why he would make that comment. But when you look at what's being mainstreamed and popularized, I'm sorry. You know, it's no coincidence that a song that lasted for so long before they recalculated their formula was a song from an artist who, you know, probably symbolically, philosophically is closer to the Alchemist variety of music making than not in Kendrick. And his song with SZA, along with all his other songs, you know, Not Like Us and all of that. It's no coincidence that that's the stuff that has the most staying power on those charts, and not the rest of this formulaic mumbo jumbo that they shove down people's throats all the time.
Correct.
Like there's a correlate. There's a reason why what's lasting a long time is Kendrick and not NBA YoungBoy.
Correct.
but that's not what's being given to the masses on a mainstream level by the cabal that is the music industry.
Yeah.
So I like you do understand why he would say that, because he's Alchemist, man. You know, you get a guy who, you know, was making beats for Mobb Deep and Eminem and Nas and people like this, you know, and doing collaborations with the Locks and Jadakiss and DMX and people like that. Of course he's gonna say that. Look at the vantage point upon which he comes from. You know, he's an OG in the game, and that's where he's speaking from. But he's on a perch that is independent of the perch that I believe the rest of that genre is on. And the rest of that genre is upstreaming Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B and NBA YoungBoy. And that stuff, I agree, does have no lasting power. So I'm completely unsurprised by. And maybe we are in a bit of a lull period where there isn't much going on. There isn't much going on, largely because of what is mass consumed. If there was a greater appreciation for Alchemist and Hit Boy, their album is called Goldfish. So if there was a greater appreciation for that, then that stuff would be charting. But of course, there isn't a greater appreciation for that. So, you know, I mean, he's kind of a dog chasing his own tail in a roundabout way with his contention towards the idea that it doesn't have anything to do with quality. But, you know, I do think it has something to do with quality. So if I would have to disagree with him. I do think that the quality is, at least in a small way, correlated to why that's happening.
Yeah. And, you know, Alchemist is, for as well known as he is, I guess amongst older people, which again, I'm not going for that. This stuff that young people don't know who Alchemist is.
I don't think they do.
I
really don't think
that's insane to me.
I don't think they do.
And I know, you know, there are the ones that do, but for when Young Thug said that, I thought I was just a soundbite for him to go viral, but he probably really meant that he doesn't know who the Alchemist is.
Well, who was the guy who 5EO Foreign? Is that who we talked about?
Yeah, that's right.
That was basically like Nas is whack or lame or
yeah,
not that good or something he was saying talking about Nas.
Yeah,
and that was even more egregious of a take because that guy's in his 30s.
Right. I don't know what that foreign man has going on.
But I don't underestimate the level of ignorance of today's music listener. I don't. So you might say I think it's weird that a person who listens to hip hop doesn't know who the Alchemist is, but there's a lot of weirdness in the world. That's fair, man. I would not be surprised if he was a lesser known commodity, because I really do believe that if you and I walked into a room right now with a bunch of quote unquote hip hop listeners, I would say between the ages of 18 and 25, 26, 27, I would say the majority of them don't know who the Alchemist is. And the ones who do probably know because they got an older brother or older cousins or older relatives or whatever.
That's fair. That's fair, man. And Alchemist, he's been branching out over the last few years, just obscure collaborations, but I'm here for all of that. I think it's good stuff, man. I don't think everything he makes doesn't land, but he's very good, and he's good in his pocket, man.
Yeah.
And he works his pocket well, and if somebody knows how to treat one of his beats, it goes crazy, man. I'm a big fan of Rock Marciano, man, even though he talks a lot of shenanigans. That guy is the top notch when it comes to rapping on those kinds of beats, man. So yeah, man, I'm a fan of Alchemist's work. He's worked with Currency on numerous occasions. I'm just a fan of all of that stuff, man. Action Bronson, even though people give him a hard time, I like Action, and I just like what he does as his quality of work.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything he makes, I'm not sitting there banging it. Some of them's like, all right, bro, where'd you dig this one up from?
Right.
But again, bro, his signature is all over everything he does, and I like that about it. So yeah, I gotta check out the Hit Boy thing. I didn't know it was a whole project. So yeah, man, I'll give that thing a listen. But yeah, I think this is just him talking his stuff. Hey, bro, like check out my work, bro. If y'all think music quality done went down. But yeah, as I was trying to get to is like, yeah, he's always been considered underground. Even though he's collaborated with the likes of some industry people here and there or whatever. He's always kept this underground label. But why do these things have that underground label to it?
Exactly.
And it has that underground label because, well, it's actually good. You just have to like it. It has to be palatable to you, but when people call something underground, that means that the quality of it is actually good. And it's not real, widely known. And why is it not widely known? Because it's not promoted like the mainstream stuff is. And so, yeah, he's always been underground. And honestly, I think he likes it there. He enjoys it. And everybody he works with, which is why I like all of that kind of music. They still talk about some reckless stuff here and there. But overall, that's good stuff. Because I think because he worked with 2 Chainz. So it's 2 Chainz, Larry June, and him, and Alchemist.
Yeah.
A whole project.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a few cuts on there that I listen to every once in a while, man. So I love it all. So I hear his point, but as you said, and I said earlier, man, nah, man, we're talking about the mainstream here. We're talking Billboard.
Yeah, right.
And Billboard quality, yeah, that stuff has gone down. It's the Zaxby's of music right now in hip hop, man. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I think he was talking about himself. I do. Mm-hmm. I think he was projecting, which, again, I think that's understandable. Personally, I think we lived in a world where popularized hip hop could go hand in hand with people who made music on his timeline, but it doesn't, and it never has. It's always been that way where, if you want to be on the mainstream level, you have to water it down, and you have to kind of make the fast food version of that particular kind of music. It's always been like that. And yeah, not everything he does lands. I like some stuff, I dislike other stuff. But one thing that I can say for certain is he is not making McDonald's version of hip hop.
No, he's not.
So, it's not going, his stuff isn't going to be on the top 40, even though from a quality standpoint, I believe it should be.
Agreed.
And now we move on to Sydney Sweeney, who's offering up some reaction to the backlash that her American Eagle jeans ad had. So she, there was a lot of hysteria around her American Eagle jeans stuff because the tagline of the ad was "Good genes for good genes" or something like that. So people were making the connection that, you know, having good genetics is synonymous with being a white woman, a blonde white female.
Dog
So
whistles.
yeah, things went off the rails with this ad, and just all kinds of backlash talking about racial superiority and ads with laced with racial undertones and all kind of stuff. And you know, she says that, you know, she didn't really see much of it because she didn't really have her phone with her all the time. But you know, from her vantage point, she was surprised by it. But to her, she was just making an ad about jeans because she just likes jeans. This says Sydney Sweeney says the American Eagle controversy was a surprise to her. Months on from the controversy surrounding her American Eagle ad, Sydney Sweeney has reflected on the reaction and suggested it was a surprise to see how much it was blown out of proportion. In a new profile feature with GQ, the Euphoria star was asked about the reaction to the ad, which even made its way to President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. I did a jean ad. I mean, the reaction definitely was a surprise, but I love jeans. All I wear are jeans. I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt every day of my life. Sweeney explained that it was surreal to see Vance and Trump chiming in on the controversy over the ad, which featured a double entendre of great jeans and great jeans. She added that she didn't really pay attention to all the reaction around it. American Eagle shares jumped around 38% following the debut of the ad, while Trump called it the hottest ad ever. There was a lot of criticism about whether it joked about genetic superiority, especially since it was led by a conventionally attractive, I don't know what that means.
You know what they saying.
I guess, yeah, conventionally attractive white blonde woman. I was aware of the numbers as it was going, so when I saw all the headlines of in-store visits were down a certain percentage, none of it was true. It was all made up, but nobody could say anything because the company was in their quiet period. So it was all just a lot of talk. And because I knew at the end of the day what that ad was for, and it was great jeans, it didn't affect me one way or the other. So here's a snippet from that interview with her talking about how she was surprised by the backlash.
We're sort of talking around this American Eagle ad right now, and maybe we should just talk about it. So, were you surprised by the reaction?
I did a jean ad. I mean, the reaction definitely was a surprise, but it was, I love jeans. All I wear are jeans. I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt like every day of my life.
Jeans are uncontroversial. Jeans are awesome.
Yeah, I like your jeans.
You look great in your jeans. I think I know how you're going to answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. I mean, the president tweeted about the jeans ad, or Truth Socialed about the jeans ad, and that just seems to me like a very crazy moment for anyone, and I wondered what that was like.
It was surreal.
It was surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Brother. Man, I'm telling you right now, bro. Listen, I know podcasting has become the running joke about, you know, taking people podcast equipment, making it cheaper so they're not doing it or whatever. And honestly, whether I like it or not, we're adding to the fodder of the noise that is podcasting. But I'm telling you right now, our stuff is far from brain rot. Like that GQ lady, okay, with an obscure jaw line, just sitting there, just glazing this woman, and then beating around the bush to ask her the question like, hey, man, you appreciate the fact that Trump shouted you out about this? Yes or no? You know, it's just weird, man, because I see a lot of that content. Also with the Karrine Steffans things we covered earlier. Some brain rot out there, guys. I would like to say I was a little bit more constructive than that. But that's a side note. My take on this situation is, of course, that's what she's going to say. Of course, she was shocked. Now, you never really know how these things are going to land, I guess. But one thing that this Sweeney lady has shown me, because she's a person that has forced herself in my algorithm. Now, my algorithm has been curated for decades. As you mentioned earlier, man, my data has been getting tracked for quite some time now. So I have a really tight-knit algorithm, For You page or whatever it is. And she made it through there forcibly on numerous occasions, as if I like, who is this person? I didn't even know what she does. Like, does she make music? She's a music maker, right? Or is she an actress? Like, what does she do? you know what she does?
Yeah, she's an actress. Yeah.
Okay, she's an actress.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything she was in. Somebody could say, "Oh, you never watched Stranger Things or Black Mirror." I don't know what she was in. Is she a Netflix actress? Like, is she get her own thing? Like, what is she? So this woman, to me, she's being, to be honest, I don't understand the obsession behind her. We covered her bathwater situation. Apparently, I feel like they're trying to make this woman some type of, sex symbol going forward. I guess because she's traditionally attractive. I don't know.
I don't think they're trying. I think they're succeeding in doing that.
I think that's all we're getting here. She feels forced. Hey, listen, man, I've seen plenty of hot women. She's regular to me. I don't understand the obsession behind this. And that's what makes it, to me, feels a little forced. But be that as it may, she garners a lot of attention, and that ad did get a lot of noise behind it. The funny thing about it, all right. No, I as I told you, bro, I can squint with the best of them when it comes to this stuff here. And I felt the double entendre. Would I have blown it up and made a big deal out of it? No, I wouldn't have. I personally don't care. But I can see the double entendre that's going on there in that ad. But to me, that's just whatever, business as usual. But people are going to call things out if they feel like they saw that. So that's great. Now, with Trump saying what he said, now that adds more to it's a dog whistle thing.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what really got this thing going. And because Trump is honestly just what a wild card that guy is. Anything he puts his name on, it's immediately dog whistle and racist.
Yeah.
So for him to say that went its way, and then for her to not reject it, she could have easily rejected this question, not answered it, not have it aired. But for her to say that she was honored by something that Trump said, to me, plays more into it. To me, this is all a playing on things. So to me, what this did was, yes, she could say she was surprised by the reaction, but in these situations, celebrities do one or two things. They either say Trump's bad, orange man bad, orange man racist, or they're an orange man sympathizer, which has its own connotations that come with it. So she had a choice there to be neutral or liberal in that context, and she chose to say she found that as a compliment. To me, which it just adds all into this conversation that they want to have about her, because it's all about her narrative. It's all about propping this girl up, because I don't know what she does, but she is definitely, in my opinion, some level of, like, she's some distractor type woman. And so to me, I think they're just playing off of it. I think they like to play with that. It's fun on both sides for them. And I think it's just game, but I don't think she was shocked by it at all, to be honest. I think this is just how marketing goes nowadays. But what are your thoughts on Sydney Sweeney saying that she was, first of all, surprised by the online responses, and then her response basically saying that, yeah, she found it as a compliment that Trump brought it up? What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna leave the Trump part alone because I just don't care. I agree with you. I think things take on a completely different form whenever he makes a comment, but I also don't think that that should be attached to the person who's at the center of it. Like I don't like Trump making his comment. That should not then be turned around as another way to criticize her. Because he said what he said, independent of whatever it is that she had going. Because he's gonna do his thing to sort of, embolden the people who, he's gonna fan the flames and embolden the people who support him whenever he has an opportunity, and it works every time. So then it ceases to be about her specifically, and it proceeds to become a shouting match between Trump supporters and Trump anti-people. But that's not even the essence of the conversation, because the essence of the conversation is, does the ad itself subconsciously suggest racial superiority or whatever, right? Like that's the essence of the conversation. And when she says the backlash, she found it to be surreal, I agree with her. And I believe her, rather, not agree, but I believe her. And the reason why I believe her is because she doesn't really strike me. Now, granted, I don't know her personally. I know her initially from the HBO show Euphoria. So back when I basically used to watch anything that came on HBO, because HBO to me for the longest time had just the track record of everything they did was excellent. So even if it was a show even if it was a show in which I was unfamiliar with the subject matter, I would still give it a chance, because HBO just had this track record for putting out excellent shows all the time. So HBO had this level of equity with me to where when that show came out, I watched it. And eventually I stopped because it was just too much for me. It's a very heavy, intense show. It's too much. It brings you down. Like every episode, somebody's ODing, or somebody's ODing, or somebody's getting abused, somebody's transitioning, somebody's coming out the closet. It's all these, or literally, I'm telling you, bro, that's what that show is. Or like somebody's in the closet and is secretly gay but still has a wife and kids. So it was every show, every episode was like
that's Drake for you, man. That's what he about.
And Drake and Future. Drake and Future.
They both was on it.
They both executive produced that show together. Yeah,
disgusting.
So I eventually stopped watching it because it was just too much. But that's where I know her, because that's kind of how she started. She was on that show. I don't really know her, but she strikes me as the kind of person who's not very socially conscientious. Now I could be wrong. But based upon my observance of her from afar, she doesn't necessarily strike me as the most conscientious observer in the world. And people like that tend to just kind of agree to do whatever to make money and live their life and do whatever they want. And they don't tend to be aware of the potential sociological, societal ramifications of things that they agree to do. So if she was caught off guard by the reaction to that ad, I'm inclined to believe her, because she doesn't strike me as the most socially aware person. I'm not trying to belittle her intelligence or anything like that. I'm just saying not everybody is on that wave where they're thinking conscientiously about the world. Like not everybody does that. So I believe her when she says that she's surreal. And in saying that, the backlash towards her directly, I do feel was a bit heavy-handed and unwarranted. But again, and this kind of goes back to the conversation that we had about NBA YoungBoy. If you squint hard enough, you can always find the objection to everything, and you can say that the ad was suggesting racial superiority. And if that's what you saw in it, I'm not going to fault you for that. I won't disagree with that. But at the same time, I think you can even go a step further and suggest that within population, there's ads in which a baseline for beauty standards is established. Because like Beyonce right now is the poster child for Levi's jeans. And I would suggest that in the eyes of corporate America, Beyonce represents the baseline standard for beauty when it comes to Black women. Now, is she? I don't think so, but I wouldn't be shocked if I were to learn that in corporate focus groups, after beta testing and A/B testing, it was deduced that standards of beauty for Black women were Beyonce. That wouldn't shock me to learn that. And she's headlining all of these Levi's commercials. But then at the same time, you have Regina King. I was trying to remember what commercials I remember seeing Regina King on, and it was for Vaseline. Where Regina King was in these Vaseline commercials, which I thought was interesting. Like, oh, y'all got Regina King is doing these mainstream beauty adjacent commercials for Vaseline, and she's rocking a short haircut in the commercial. So that's kind of committing 3 faux pas simultaneously, because you have a Black female with short hair who's older. And then you got there was another one that I was trying to think of, and I did find it. It was Viola Davis. She is in these commercials for L'Oreal, which is like a skincare makeup thing for women or whatever. So I mean, I kind of think that this stuff is replete throughout like corporate advertising. If you want to call stuff out, I'm fine with that. I don't take an affront to it, but I do think it's going on across the board. I think that there is an establishment of beauty standards when it comes to white females. But at the same time, if I'm being honest, in my opinion, personally, I also believe that there's an establishment for beauty standards with Black women too, being established by these corporate conglomerates. So, it just depends on what you get exposed to and what's more likely than not to trigger you. Now, granted, none of those other ads were subtly talking about jeans and good jeans for good jeans or whatever the heck they were talking about. But be that as it may, I do think that a lot of this stuff was going on. And I don't think that, rather, I believe her when she says she was aware of the fact that such an ad could cause controversy. I kind of think that she walks about in the world not really thinking about stuff like that. And she just says, I like jeans, I'm cute, they want to pay me millions of dollars to do this. And so she signed up for it. I don't think that she foresaw that there was going to be this ongoing, societal conversation about whether that ad is subtly insinuating that she's the poster child for genetic superiority. Even though I do also believe that there are people who took it that way. So I do think that people who saw the ad took it that way. So, it's a free for all. Everybody's going to take things how they want it, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I again, if I saw that ad, because I didn't, I just heard the outrage about it. If I saw that ad, because first of all, I overread into every commercial, because I think commercials are doing 2 things. I think they're A, trying to sell a product, but B, also trying to create a culture of America with their ads. So I think they serve 2 purposes. I think they're more interested, me personally. I think they're more interested in trying to create the type of consumers that they want versus actually selling their product specifically. Selling their product is important, but they try to get they try to convey a mindset through their commercials personally. So I overread and I overanalyze commercials personally. It's an interest of mine. I don't want to say enjoy it because I hate commercials, but if a commercial is on, I'm going to analyze the hell out of it. Now, if I had saw that commercial, I would have saw both sides. I would have saw that, okay, they're talking about jeans. I would have saw the double entendre. But would I have been offended? No. And this again is much like the NBA YoungBoy situation, where if you want to be mad at racism, American Eagle ad, there's so many things that are happening before that you even watch that ad that is racist, that you should be complaining about those things and not the American Eagle ad or whatever dog whistles that's supposed to be letting off or whatever. Like, there's so much stuff that's important, I would say, that you wouldn't even either be watching it or whatever you're watching to see the commercial. I mean, there's so many things that you should be upset about first before you get to a commercial that could be possibly offending you, I guess. But I don't know how you're supposed to feel. I don't know how you're supposed to feel when you're in certain communities about saying certain things. You know, if you're proud of your genes, be proud of your genes. You know, I don't care about that personally. I don't take it as supremacy unless they're trying to get superior on me. So, but if somebody is just proud of who they are, where they come from, I expect that. So, if I saw a commercial that was doing that, I would be like, okay, well, that's them, you know, so be it. You know, life goes on. You know, I think there's more. I think there's other things going on in life. So the fact that it even became a talking point to me felt like part of the ad. One of the things that they have done, and I noticed this from the Dove commercial faux pas that happened probably like in 2017, 18, up in that range. There was this Dove ad where I forgot what happened, but it was racially insensitive. The internet felt, and I felt like they did it on purpose. And around that same time there was a Gucci ad where the lady was wearing like a turtleneck, but it had like monkey lips or something like that. And I'm like, well, they knew what they were doing. This went across people, and they released this knowing that the internet's going to be outraged about this. And what happens is when people get outraged about it, they post about it more. You're dealing with an industry that any publicity is good publicity. So if they did say something that they knew that was going to get people upset, that's part of the marketing plan. And people's going to have to start looking at these things as part of the marketing scheme. American Eagle is hitting so many home runs off of that, because I think it mentioned the stock went up or something like that. I don't know what it was talking about, but they hit a home run with that because they only paid her once, in theory, and that thing is doing numbers and over again. So I say all that stuff to say is that there's bigger fish to fry in the world. If you're one of those people that believe everything is from systemic racism and some form of white supremacy and all these other things, that should be a baseline then. That means everything that you're consuming and or doing, all right, is a part of that systemic system or whatever. So complaining and nitpicking about one of those things and deciding to be outraged about that is laughable, because you did about 5 other things that plays into that supremacy before you even watched that ad. So if you want to live in that worldview, because it's there for you, that everything is white supremacy, don't get mad at one over here or one over there. It should be part of your algorithm. Live beyond that, or get over it, you know, to a certain extent. So, yeah, I'm with you in the sense that I just think that this is part of American Eagle's, you know, marketing. I think marketing is taking on so many different lanes, and I think one of them is controversy and or / racism, and then double back and apologizing. I think that's part of marketing nowadays. So I wasn't offended by this at all.
Well, people are triggered by symbolism. That's what gets people talking about stuff. It's why you'll have people who will get all up in arms about Aunt Jemima and the Land O'Lakes and the Land O'Lakes character on the Land O'Lakes box, because getting rid of these matters of symbolism is fighting the good fight. I would say most people feel that way. So for them, you can say that there are several things that you did before you got to the point in which you saw that ad, which contribute to the various systems that you complain about. But what they're looking at is the output of those various systems, which is the symbolistic mechanisms. So for them, getting rid of the symbolistic mechanisms is the way to get rid of the system.
Yeah, it's not.
Right. But that's what people are going to gravitate towards the most. That's why we can go on, and we're not necessarily going to talk about why there aren't more black-owned businesses, or why there aren't more black people in STEM sciences, or why there aren't more black people in financial services, for example. But we'll spend hours and hours talking about why this statue needs to get taken down, or why this character on the rice box needs to get rid of. Why we need to get rid of this character on the rice box, or why Aunt Jemima is problematic, or Uncle Ben, or a jeans ad which says "good jeans for good jeans," whatever. All I know is, when it comes to the angle of talking about or subtly suggesting racial superiority through language, that's replete throughout all communities. That's going on within population for every community in which they target. So like I said before, I personally believe the same thing is happening with Beyonce's Levi jeans ad. Now, the tagline might not be "good jeans for good jeans," but she's parading around in Levi's jeans so as to suggest that the standard of beauty for Black women is solidified in Beyonce. Personally, I believe that. So I would also suggest, from a symbolic perspective, that there's grounds to complain about that as well, because Beyonce, as we all know, is not the only representation of Black female beauty. But in a corporate sense, it is. So I do think there's something to be said for that. And if American Eagle wants to have their people and have their poster children, and Levi's gets to have their poster children, I say if you're going to complain about one, complain about the other. But if you're going to stay mum on one, you got to stay mum on the other too. That's how I see it. So I think it's happening across the board. Complain about all of it or complain about none of it.
Yeah, hey man, fair man. So hey man, like I said, I can squint with the best of them, guys. Okay, so I see the angle, but I just think that there's bigger fish to fry than tweeting at this lady or whatever. And if it offended you that much, just boycott it like you already were.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know a ton of and maybe I don't know enough, but I don't know a ton of Black women who wear American Eagle.
Yeah, they don't care about that, man. So just it's business as usual. Just keep rolling, man. Oh, and by the way, bro, there was this whole thing, kind of in the same vein, where we could have covered it here, but Cracker Barrel trying to rebrand itself.
I saw that.
Yeah, and they were trying to rebrand themselves, and people weren't having it. I don't know what they were thinking there. Well, I knew what they were thinking, but then I'm trying to watch college football. I've never seen a Cracker Barrel commercial, literally ever. And the first time I see it, it's Negroes on a porch. All right. The only thing they didn't have on was overalls and a watermelon in their hand, talking about how they love some pot pie or whatever the hell it was. And I'm like, what is this? And it's talking about Cracker Barrel. And I was like, man, come on, guys. Stay in your lane. Cracker Barrel was so good that it didn't need commercials. Cracker Barrel was so good that it already had its fan base, but they're trying to diversify their bonds and trying to be universal. You're Cracker Barrel. Just stay in your lane, man. But this amalgamation America stuff that they're doing to try to be on the right side of things, it feels a bit forced.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's such a cringe commercial, man.
And I've actually been to Cracker Barrel several times. Every time I've been to a Cracker Barrel, there's always been plenty of Black people in there.
Correct.
So I'm not sure that Cracker Barrel had an issue appealing to the Black audience to begin with.
Exactly.
But now they have an issue because they fumbled the bag. But yeah, that's what happens when you create problems that never existed in the first place. And you're sitting there trying to be on the right side of history, and now you put yourself on the wrong side of history unwittingly. And there was nothing that they were doing wrong, just like there was nothing that Aunt Jemima was doing wrong. But symbolism, that is what gets people up, bro. People don't vote on substance and issues. They vote on symbolism. That's part of the reason why that's part of the reason why politics is so messed up, because no one votes on issues or policy. They vote on symbolism, and politicians know that, and so they then start campaigning on symbolism, and then you get disenchanted when things don't get done. Well, the whole reason why you were even in this and you entered this pact to begin with is because you're prioritizing symbolism over substance. So like that's what gets people riled up is symbolism, and so that's why you get people mad about a jeans ad. Mind you, a brand of jeans that they don't even wear to begin with. So go figure, man. Like until people wake up and stop caring so much about symbolism, that's what's gonna happen.
Fair take. I don't know why that's such a thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can get into that, but you're right. That is very true. And yeah, they're more mad about the image than actually being mad about stuff that matters. So well said.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I get, shouts out to, I don't know. We'll call it a day on shouting out everybody.
Shout out to Dr. Squatch for coming up with a good ad to actually make a lot of money off this woman's sweat. That's a hell of a concept.
Yeah, her bath water. Yeah. Her and Lunel, they conquering the market on the bath water.
Yeah, Lunel. Shout out to Lunel. That's who you gonna shout out for. Shout out to Lunel, girl. Keep on dancing in that dirty ass water. I love it.
Oh yeah. All right, y'all. We out of here. JV Wins Dogon SS. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok. Approach CONAPPROACH. Check me out on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Y'all already know usual disclaimers. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Download us over there on those areas as well. As I always like to say, man, have a mind of your own. Don't be a group thinker. Think for yourself. And until the next stream, until the next video, we'll catch y'all on the flip side. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for being a part of our little community.
Yes, indeed. Yes. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, Facebook, Meta, Twitch. Goddamn it. If there's a social media platform, Dogon_SS is out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow, and all that good jazz. Just like you guys do here at The Conscious Approach on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching, consciously leaving comments, and also sharing the videos, okay? Because you can't just keep all this knowledge and wisdom that we're sharing every week to yourselves. Please share them to your kinfolks, because they will greatly appreciate it. All right. And as I say every week, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, I still got more rings than Robert Ory, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Shout out to SMU. Shout out to SMU.
Oh, there he goes. He just couldn't resist it, can he? Hey man,
you gonna have to join in. You gonna have to join in on feeling my pain, because
we're still going 10-2, dog. At least that's what I'm gonna tell myself. Shout out Red Lashley, bro. I'll shout Red Lashley out because we shouldn't have let him go in the first place. But hey man, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some.
Yep, that's right. But you live to fight another day.
There you go, man. That is.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Until next time, we'll see y'all later. We are out. Peace.
Go Canes, man. I don't care what this man talk about.